Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us here for episode 20 of the Winner's Circle. Right now, it is just me. I expect Anika any minute. Unfortunately, there will be no Sammy Joe today. As usual, we will review Monday Night Raw from January 27th, NXT from the 28th, and AEW Dynamite from the 29th. We will give each show a grade and pick our favorite show. Well, and by default, the one with the best grade is our favorite show of the week. So, before we kick into that, do a little bit of housekeeping while we wait for Anika to join us. Do-do-do-do. There she is. I was just about to tell the people, thank you for joining us, or thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you. If you're new, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Hit the bell to be notified. Hit the like button on this video. If you hit that bell on the YouTube channel, it's the best way to get notified every time we're ready to put something out. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you. Give us a follow over there. If you're watching on the Clock app, we appreciate you there as well. Unfortunately, we can't see those comments, but we're with you there in spirit. So if you come over to the YouTube channel, you can comment and let us know in real time what you think of the shows as we review them. And any other comments or anything else you want to talk about. Dolores says, hi, wise man. Good morning, Dolores. Thank you very much for everything you do. She is our voice in the sky and our producer behind the scenes. All the great graphics you see, anything you see as far as videos or anything like that, that's all Dolores' work, and she's amazing at what she does. So she also has her own YouTube channel, so check that out. Put the link in the chat here, Dolores, so that people can know where to find you find your YouTube channel. She's got a lot of great stuff going on over there. So let's see. We are here bright and early, 7 a.m. on the West Coast, 10 a.m. on the East Coast. Like I said, for episode 20 of the Winner's Circle, it was a very interesting week this week, I thought. Just a little quick summary. I thought NXT was really good this week. I think it's going to be hard to beat, in my opinion. But we will get into that. What do you think just overall? What was your just like, before we start any of the shows, what do you think just in general, the week as a whole?
The week as a whole, just NXT, just NXT Raw and AEW. You can tell some was a go home show and some was a took it easy show. It was like we went hard to paint last week. What could break this week?
Yeah. So like I said before, no Sammy Joe. So did you happen to take any notes for Raw this week? Probably not. If not, I mean, I didn't either, but I found somewhere to find the info, so we'll walk you through it. So Dolores posted the link to her YouTube channel. It's in the chat, so by all means, everyone check that out. She says, thank you all. Thank you, Dolores. We appreciate you very much here at Workhorse Wrestling Network. All right, let's see. Just a quick reminder. We will be back for the Royal Rumble tonight, or this afternoon, technically. I guess it's night your time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So
all right, real quick. Is the pre-show at 6 or the actual show?
Pre-show starts 2 hours earlier.
Because my dad asked me the same thing, and I'm like, that is so early.
I know. When I click on Peacock, it says Peacock starts at 1 p.m. 7 hours. I was like, holy smokes! I think the first two are kickoff, and then there's 4 hours of that, or 3 hours of the actual paper, or 4 hours.
Yeah.
5 hour pay per view, I guess. If it's 7, then there's 2 hours in. So we will be back here at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for our Watch Long Royal Rumble. It is my favorite pay-per-view. It is the beginning of WrestleMania season, so I'm very excited for this afternoon, or I want to call it tonight, but it's actually this afternoon.
Yeah,
my side of it.
It's so much hope until it's not.
That's right. There's hope until it's not, and then once the winner's announced, and then everyone's deflated, and it's never the person you ultimately want it to be, or any of that.
But in the midst of it, there's hope.
Real quick, who do you want to win the men's and women's Royal Rumble?
If we're going straight on,
obviously we don't know everybody that's even in it yet, but
yeah. who I want to win. They're not gonna do this, but who I want to win is Sammy. They're teasing this whole Sammy and KO thing. I'm like, you know what? For literally, I want to say for 4 WrestleMania straight, the match or the moments have been either with KO or Sammy. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. Just let Cody, let KO beat Cody, and let it be Sammy versus KO for the belt. It doesn't have to be the last match. It could be the first match, and let's hit off with a bang.
Yeah. No, I've never that. I don't really have a pick of the men at this moment. Just what I wanted. I just want a really good rumble. I mean, there's a couple people that I hope like it'd be cool, but they're all people that I know are never going to actually win. So it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
And for the women, like if she actually returns, I wouldn't mind seeing Charlotte win. I know that makes Anika unhappy. Probably Dolores, probably CM, but if she comes back, I wouldn't mind seeing her win. Her versus Tiffany.
She's coming back.
Would be fun. Yeah, I mean they've already announced it, so it was her coming back. I guess that would be fun. Bailey's also in the Rumble. I wouldn't mind seeing Bailey win. That might be fun. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, obviously Nia Jax is my girl. She'll be there. She'll have a showing. I don't think she'll win just because she just had the belt and lost. So chances are good she probably won't get the win. But she'll have one of those, she'll have one of those beast moments where she eliminates probably 6 or 7 women, and then hopefully at least they give her that kind of push, before they eliminate her. And hopefully it takes like, 4 or 5 women to eliminate her as opposed to just one, and makes her look, strong. Dolores says she wants AJ Lee to make her come back.
Listen, and I think Dolores has seen my video. I say this time and time again. When CM Punk came back in AEW, the first thing my niece would ask was, "Where's AJ?" She didn't say, "Ooh, this is hot, it's exciting." She was like, "Oh, where's AJ Lee?" And I need y'all to stop teasing if it's not going to happen. So yes, I need her to get her behind back over here, please.
I don't know how legitimate it was, but somewhere it was either on Blue Sky or the app that I will not call in, that I refuse to say its name anymore, or Facebook or somewhere. That's the X or Twitter app. Or Facebook, somewhere I saw somewhere that there was a little, story about her potentially coming back. So I don't know, who knows? I mean, I know they've been teasing that for a while. This was something I actually had read in print. I don't know if that makes any difference or not, but I think it might have even been Wrestle Talk now that I think about it. I don't know. One of those places had a little story on how she was, rumored to be coming back, and that there might be spots.
Like the CM Punk come up. I've been like this is a year or two ago. So he's like, I've been trying to get her back in there, and then they asked her. I think they asked him, "Do you have any surprises?" He's like, "Yes, but I'm going to get in big trouble if I say anything." And it's like, sir, unless you know, shut up. I'm out like certain people. I'm out tired of the teasers.
Laura says, "What if husband and wife win the Rumble?" I assume you're talking about Becky and Seth. I mean, who?
Or CM Punk and AJ.
CM Punk and AJ. I suppose that could be it too. Are there any other couples that are in the married couples that are both in the men's and women's Rumble?
AJ's. When I tell you, I'm over Seth. I don't know when it happened exactly, but I really am over. So I'm like, I don't need him anywhere near my main event. I don't, bro.
Are Jay and Naomi going to be in there?
Cena thing. I don't care. I'm
sorry. Is it Naomi and Jimmy or Naomi and Jay that are married? I never know.
They're married. They're in the Rumble. That's not happening. So we can just come on. I love both of them, but let's be realistic about this situation.
All right. So without further ado, because it already takes us long enough as it is, let's crack into Monday Night Raw on Netflix this week. It started off with the man that you just claimed you're completely over, Seth Rollins. He's out in the ring for a live little promo thing. He's talking about how he's visionary. It's Monday Night Rollins, blah, blah, blah. This is his favorite time of the year, WrestleMania season. He's going to the Rumble. He's going to win it all. And then we get CM Punk. Oh, no, wait. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. No. Trying to remember exactly. Hold on here. Let me see. Trying to remember exactly how it went down. No, Drew comes out, right? Uh,
I
no,
think
wait, hold on. No, he's talking about
Gunther.
everybody. There's
Gunther
also
comes
the,
out.
huh?
Gunther comes out.
That's right. I'm trying to replay it in my head here. Yeah, these notes aren't great
I
that I'm
I
looking at.
can I can help out with this scenario.
All right.
Mute yourself. So yeah, so this segment, this is basically hyping. Seth was hyping up Royal Rumble, and he's like, "So who am I going to throw over the top? CM Punk? Yeah." It was someone. It was other people. Yeah, and then he gets to Roman Reigns, and they're like, "Ooh." He's like, "You're dang right, I'm throwing him over." I'm like, hey, that's your shield brother. You know that's a bond you can't break. But and then he's talking about the World Heavyweight Championships, which what he was going to go for, and he was talking about, let me go for the one that I basically created, and then here comes Gunther, and so yeah, Gunther comes out, and and then basically they start jaw jacking, and Seth was like, he's like, look, no offense, yeah, you're wearing that belt, but I created that belt, I made that belt what it is, and maybe it's time for me to take it back, and so. And then side note, yeah, you had to run with it, but we all can agree we wanted Finn Balor to beat you. We basically we already want everybody you was going to get to beat you. So let's not go there about your reign. Okay. Back into it. So yeah, Seth and Gunther keeps jaw jacking, like who's going to be over, like who's going to send over the top rope, who's going to win, blah blah blah. And here comes Logan Stupid Paul, and bruh. Talking about Hulk Hogan got booed. This man got booed out of the freaking building. Where were they? They weren't I don't think they were in Minneapolis. But wherever they were, this dude got booed like he said the N word.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Like I don't know his political affiliations or whatever, but he got booed out the building. Where so he comes out, he's trying to talk. He has to literally scream over the mic because it was booed. Like, but you suck, to the point where this basically in this moment. Gunther turns face. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I don't want Seth. I don't want you to win. I want you to win, Logan Paul. So I can beat your behind at WrestleMania. And everyone's like, yeah, do that. And then and then Seth says something snarky, and it's like, sir, it's not about you anymore. No offense. And then Seth leaves, and then I want to say segments. And there was no fist thrown. Segments over.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, Seth, like you said, I mean, I'm a little over this Seth Rollins to a certain extent. I mean, I hate to say that he needs to reinvent himself because he's done it a bunch of times already, but at the same time, this is not my favorite iteration of Seth Rollins. I don't necessarily want him to win the Rumble. He's gotten so many opportunities. We've been there, done that. He already held every belt he can hold for the most part, right? I mean, it's so.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean that there isn't still anything left for him to do, or that there isn't something he can do that excites me. I just don't need to see him necessarily with the belt or winning the Rumble at this point, or those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, Gunther's Gunther. He's a better promo when the other person's more excited, and Seth Rollins is a little bit more fired up in general. So those two work well off of each other, I think. And then Logan Paul. Yeah. I don't like Logan Paul at all, So it is what it is. The fact that he's even kind of, I mean, I understand why he's in the Rumble. He'll have a spot or two. If he wins, we got major problems. But I can't imagine that he's going to actually win. But he'll have a nice spot or two, and it'll be exciting, and all of his fans that he draws because of who he is will pay attention, and then that helps WWE, I guess, in the long run. So that's why they do it. I mean, and to be fair, I mean, other than maybe Pat McAfee, he's probably the best celebrity wrestler they've had, right? So
yeah.
So in that regard, even though it's a celebrity situation and I don't like him, even though when he's in the ring, it's not terrible because he's at least decent at the wrestling part of it. So the matches that he does have, and when they force him down our throat, at least it's not terrible. I mean, you have to deal with him, but at least it's not him also being bad. It's not David Schwimmer. No offense to David Schwimmer. I love David Schwimmer as a person, but like as a wrestler, like if you had Logan Paul's
Heck
attitude,
no.
personality with David Schwimmer's ability as a wrestler, then you'd have a real problem if they were still shoving him down our throats. But
Yeah.
at least he has a little bit of skill in the ring. So, yeah, I mean, this in a vacuum, this is what it was. I don't.
Right.
We'll end up seeing, they're hyping the Rumble, and that's the whole point, right? So
Yeah.
anyone can win. These are all men that are going to be in the Rumble, I guess, except Gunther, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, no. I agree with you wholeheartedly. When it comes to Logan Paul, I can see how he's a valuable tool in WWE. It really is a matter of how to use him appropriately. And in this scenario, who are like, "Ooh, Gunther versus Logan Paul," is like, yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. Like I don't want like we know that will be a decent match, but like I don't need Logan to win. And again, it's like, don't we have more for Gunther? I want more for Gunther, and just him versus Logan Paul ain't it?
That's heel versus heel anyhow. I
champion-
mean, who do you root for? There's no one to really root for. I mean,
Gunther to beat Logan's behind because in this scenario, like how he got booed out of this arena. Oh, Logan Paul is definitely the heel. But yeah, it's like you said, like besides the prospect of Logan Paul getting his behind whooped, we can do that with anybody. Like it could be him versus Penta, and if Penta wins, great match. Him versus Cena wins, great match. But for Gunther, I want more for Gunther. So if we're taking a vote, I vote no. Gunther deserves more. We can do better for Gunther. Like I said, he Logan Paul a valuable tool, just not of using him appropriately.
here's another husband and wife couple that I forgot: Andrade and Charlotte. They can both potentially win. Andrade's not going to win. Charlotte can win. Andrade's not going to win.
But Andrade, he's so good. Like it was him versus The Miz on SmackDown. It's like you made The Miz actually look credible. Like it was actually an enjoyable 10 minutes of a match. It's not gonna happen, but it's like in the future, they've been teasing Andrade and Charlotte teaming up. Let's do that. Why the freak not? Let's do that. Call it the Dynasty, something like that. Like come on.
All right. So next we had CM Punk. He's backstage with Cap. She doesn't last. She's not there all that long. Sami Zayn comes out. Punk says Sammy's not on his level, but Sammy points out he main evented WrestleMania before. Sammy's not cute. Sammy walks away and here's Karrion Kross. Kross is trying to talk Sammy into
Get a hobby.
To being against Seth Rollins and trying to encourage Sammy to take care of himself and work for himself, I guess. And then Cody appears, and then Sammy basically walks away, which is basically the end of that segment. What do you think about that little segment?
No, okay, yes. So, a couple of things. CM Punk boo you because come on, Sammy's not on your level. Shut up, bro. Like, come on. Like, you just got back here. You're technically a baby face, but if you want to get booed, jaw jack of Sammy. Sammy is our baby face. We will boo you out the arena. Don't do that. You want to test your baby faceness? Try go to that Sammy. So go do your business with other people, but leave Sammy alone. Okay, and then Karrion, sir, you need a hobby, bro. I need to do you just trolling people in the hallway so you ain't got nothing to do because the White Sticks are at SmackDown, bro. Get another faction and fight somebody. Get a hobby. Go on somewhere. Now, Sammy and Cody. I am not a 100% Cody fan, right? I get it. I'm enjoyed with this stuff. Am I rooting for Cody? No. But it was kind of sad, the whole, what's the appropriate word? Not ignoring Cody, but probably like pushing, there you go, pushing Cody aside when he was like, hey, man, like, hey, I got to do something else. I was like, hold up now, Sammy. Cody didn't do nothing to you. Y'all both teamed up with Roman. Don't do that. It's that awkward moment where, because this is like Cody's on SmackDown, this is on Raw. You go back to a class reunion or a family reunion, and you think it's gonna be the same. It's that awkward. Oh, it's not the same. Brush off. It's like, don't. I hate that. So watching in any capacity, it's like, don't do that. You can do a 2-minute hi, how are you? We'll link up later, but it's just like, don't do that.
Yeah, but he's getting ready to battle Sammy's best friend, so Sammy can't be nice to Cody because KO and Cody are about to go
again. KO, the manipulative crackhead, emotionally that's been manipulating you for all these time, and you went for the bloodline, sir. You want to get the bloodline. So no offense. You don't have you could have said a decent hi. There we go. Not even a full conversation. You could have gave him a decent hi. What's up? Like dap it up. Hey, bro. Catch you in the few. That's all you had to say. Not the whole hi. I'll see you later. Boo, Sammy, boo. Okay.
That brought us to our first match of the night, which was a WWE World Tag Team Champion match between the defending champions, the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, versus Judgment Day's Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Big Head JD McDonough.
No JD slander in this match. No JD slander, but continue.
Very solid match. The War Raiders did get the win via pinfall after the, I guess they call it the War Machine is their finishing move. Now that they've changed their names back to the War Raiders. So just under 10 minutes. I thought this was really good. I enjoyed this. I thought that the tag team champions looked really good, and I thought JD and Dom did a really good job of making them look good. I thought this all the way around. I enjoyed this. The WWE tag team titles have been, what they've been for a long time. They've been mediocre for a long time. I love to see them get, warmed up again. I mean, the War Raiders aren't necessarily like the biggest needle movers. They're not the Legion of Doom or, but they're solid though. I mean, I like them, and is it Eric? I think it's Eric's Ivar story. One of them just recovered from that neck surgery. Ivar,
I want to say it's Eric.
Okay, well, either one of them. One of them came back from the same neck surgery that Edge had to have, and has come back in like a 20th of the time that Edge was gone for like 9 years or something, and Ivar was gone for like a month. So who knows? Or Eric, whatever, was gone for like a month or two. So that worries me a little bit, and at the same time, it shows you how tough a guy they are. No, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad the War Raiders got the win. I don't want Dom and Big Head to be champions. I don't really want the Judgment Day to do anything. I want them to split up at this point, honestly, and everyone just go their separate ways. I don't know what that means for some of them, because I do think that if you split it up, Carlito probably goes away. I think if you split it up, you don't know what to do with Big Head. Dominic will still be doing his thing, and he's over enough that he'll be okay wherever he lands. But yeah, JD will fall through the cracks and probably end up back in NXT trying to do something, would be my guess. I mean, and Liv will be Liv, and Raquel will just hang out with Liv. So, but I need them to split up. What do you think about this match and ultimately?
Now, again, like I said, no big head slander in this program right here, because this match was awesome. So AEW, I can't hear you, but I'll say it. Yeah, perfect. JD McDonough. Hi, Tommy. What's up, girl? So, like I said, no JD slander in this match here, because baby boy, this was insane, and it started off insane. So, Judgment Day just going off on the Raiders. Just fighting show. These are two beefy men. You got if you have a chance at winning, you gotta hit it. You gotta strike while the iron's hot. So suicide dot, tope suicidas, and all that, and then JD McDonough does this springboard backflip off the top rope, and the first camera angle is like, oh shoot, he did that. And then they showed that freaking replay. Sweet baby Jesus. JD hit his head on the freaking announce table, and more so for me, the whiplash of it all is like, are you okay? Are you like literally? Are you okay? So when he got back up, you just saw the crowd. Oh, yeah, oh God, he didn't die, and he literally was like, oh my God, he's fine. And then Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, they forgot about who was the babyface and heel. They're like, this boy is crazy. They're like, oh my God, this boy's up. And then like I think like for moments there, like it was real life moments. They're like, we're not playing. Someone needs to get a doctor out here and check on this boy. Yeah, he's up. They're like, yeah, he's up, but we are not sure what's going on. But like I said, but he got up. They did another, and like I said, this was the beginning of the match. You do another 10 minutes. So I'm watching this match. I'm like, don't hit his head. Don't hit his head. Freaking DDT. Sir, did y'all not just see what just happened? Don't hit his head. Hit everything else but his freaking head. And so, but I'm pretty sure the emotional crackhead of JD McDonough told him, oh, I'm fine. Don't listen to the emotional crackhead. He is not fine. Like I said, this is not Big Head Judgment Day JD McDonough. This is the ace from NXT UK. This is the ace of NXT UK. And I think it was Ollie and Luke that were reviewing this. And it really is true. When wrestlers fight through an injury, they get major props, for better or for worse. It's just like, yeah, you did that, even though somebody should say no. Someone should fight against it. But but on the flip side of it, we don't want you to fight against it because it's such a miraculous moment of he's powering through. And it's like, and they're like, you still doing flips? I'm like, sir, you just hit your head. We can just do a simple match. No, we're still gonna do flips. We're still gonna hit him in the freaking head. We're still gonna do all this good stuff. Like I said, that role, that actually, I think for me, I'm not sure how good of a match this would have been if that didn't happen. Like it probably would have been a decent match, but it wouldn't have been. This sounds so bad. It would have been as exciting, unfortunately. And then Carlito comes out, diced the apple. It's like. Everyone was like, please don't put these belts back on Judgment Day. Please don't put like I think everyone was like, please don't put these belts back on Judgment Day. It's like, no, okay, fine, thank God. That wasn't enough for them. War Raiders win, and props to the ace, JD McDonough. If anyone has found the ace, not Big Head, the ace. Reports show it actually wasn't even a concussion. He actually has cracked ribs and a punctured lung. I'm like, he has cracked ribs and a punctured lung, but he's fine. He will be out a couple of months, but he's fine. Thank God. In my mind, I'm like, you did a flip and your head hit the. How do you get a punctured lung and a crack? Then in my mind, like, so did something else happen? Like you hit.
With all due respect, and I know it's too soon, and this is a really bad joke, but there's a lot of head to hit. I mean,
Shut up! What part of there will be no JD slander today in this?
No, but in all seriousness, this is a microcosm of what's wrong in society and sports in general. Really, when these guys get hurt, it's a big deal, and the fact that as both men and fans, especially men. You're not supposed to, you're tougher if you play through it, if you work through it. Fans are always like more hyped up, like you said, if you work through it, play through it. Oh, he's tough, he's all that. That doesn't change the fact that a lot of these guys end up with CTE or long-term debilitating issues because they get sucked into the praise of the fans and all that ego stuff, around being tough, battling through it, and that's what real men do and real athletes do. And it just is not, And the reality is that your job is to take care of yourself first and foremost, because ultimately what's going to happen is that when it's all said and done, the fans aren't there anymore. And all you have is you and your family and your life, right? So you've got to take care of yourself to all athletes in any regard when it comes especially to head trauma or other things, punctured lungs, cracked ribs, those kind of things. Those things heal, but brain trauma doesn't. And that's really, it is a major issue, and it's not something to joke about. So definitely prayers for JD McDonough. And I think he's fine. They showed that he's fine. But the reality is that stuff like that does happen. We talk about wrestling being fake, but these guys are taking real bumps, and sometimes stuff does really happen like that. And it can be very dangerous at times. And so Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. And like you said, unfortunately, as you know, humans, we like seeing that, right? It hypes it up. It makes the harder hit in the football field, makes it more exciting. The bump on the head, we're like, oh, it makes it more exciting. And at the same time, we have this disconnect from the person itself that's taking that injury or that bump or that hit. I mean, when they get hurt, then we're like, oh my god, it's terrible. But as long as they're okay, it's like, yeah, do it again. No, don't do it again. It's like. So no, it is a fine line. So no, all respect, in all seriousness, to all of these guys. Any wrestler that does this for a living and takes bumps and all those kinds of things, because it's definitely a dangerous thing to get involved in. So I'm glad that he is okay. And the match was very solid. So you're right. I mean, I was a fan of JD McDonough, even though I do think he has a big head. When he was in NXT as the ace, I do think that he suffers a little on the main roster by himself. It feels a little kind of like the Buddy Matthews situation, where someone is super talented, extremely talented, but for some reason they're just not getting. They never quite get that push. They're just destined to be kind of mid card their whole career or lower and fall through the cracks. I don't know why. I don't know if it's that maybe they're not assertive enough for themselves. Maybe they don't advocate enough for themselves or not. I don't know, but. It's not talent. Let's put it that way. And even though I make fun of JD McDonough, it's not talent. The guy can talk. The guy can wrestle. He's very solid at everything that he does. He's a little undersized, which might be part of the problem. I'm sure that when it came to and again, I talk about Triple H and them being from the Vince tree. I know that Triple H is a little bit better about having guys around that are solid wrestlers because they're wrestlers and size isn't that big a deal. I still think he likes his big men, and I still think if he had his druthers, you'd have the 6'2" guy that can wrestle, right? And JD's like 5'7", so it's tough a lot of times to maybe work your way in there, but. He probably deserves more than he's getting. That said, he's been with Judgment Day for a while now, and he's gotten a fair amount of push. He's been tag team champion with Finn. I mean, he's been so he's got a lot of being with Judgment Day has helped him a lot. So even though I don't like Judgment Day, if it does go away, him and Carlito will be the biggest sufferers of that. So
like it seems so sensitive to say this, but again, like I said, in this match, people were cheering him on. It wasn't like a crazy turn of their booing War Raiders. They were just cheering JD McDonough. Sound like he will be off a couple of months. In my mind, when he comes back, we turn him face. Like either it's him and Finn has to change his heart, or him versus Finn, and let's jump that up. But this is a good opportunity if you want to bump up JD McDonough. Use this.
Yeah, him versus Finn, I think would be a lot of fun. That I'd be here for.
Right? Yeah.
So next we get Pete Dunne with Kai. They have a little conversation backstage. They don't like each other, and it is what it is.
But like they're actually like it was kind of like more so with Kaiser. I think we can help each other. And with that, I am not mad at that. Because like I love these two dudes. I know you're more of a Pete Dunne enthusiast. I know, I understand. Don't spit out your gum. But I do. But with these two guys, they are in this limbo of what happens next, and them joining together. I wouldn't be mad at that. Just to help each other in any capacity. Like I said, if they want to be a tag team, that's cool. If they just want to be a team and just beat up people, that's cool too. Because like, more so with Pete Dunne. I think Ludwig is actually in a decent place, just matter what happens next to him. But with Pete Dunne needs some help in reheating him up. So and him right now by himself isn't exactly working. So yeah, pairing him with someone else, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Pete Dunne guy. I'm not a Ludwig guy, so it is what it is. But Ludwig probably, Ludwig's better when he has a tag team partner. Giovanni obviously is gone from Imperium. Not that I want Pete Dunne to join Imperium in any way, shape, or form. But, I mean, I guess if it's going to give them something to do, I suppose it's fine. I mean, for the moment, I mean... like I said, you said for a minute Pete Dunne had like 3 coals in the fire and it looked like they were giving him a big push, and then all of a sudden they kind of slowed him down a little bit, I guess, again. Yeah, and now he's here in this kind of Ludwig Kaiser, I don't know what it is. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening. Did they get interrupted by New Day? I thought Kofi and Xavier came up with a new name. Didn't they come up with a new name?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. So I guess we're still calling them New Day.
Yeah.
Pete and Ludwig don't want to hear from them. They don't care what they have to say. Kofi says Atlanta's favorite son has come home. And Kathy was one of the best lines of the night. Says, Braun Breaker?
It's like,
Kofi's
look,
not happy about that. Or sorry, she says Braun Breaker first, then she says Austin Theory and Cody Rhodes. But it's actually Xavier Woods, who is tonight in front of his family. He hasn't heard from them, but he's sure they'll all show up. What do you
see,
think of this little bit once these two showed up? And obviously, I'm a big fan of the new heel, New Day. They're fun. I enjoy it. Xavier's great. Kofi, I'll be honest with you, you can tell that this isn't something, and I'm not saying that it is for Woods, but that this,
mm,
that it, okay, this feels more natural. Xavier's better at this than Kofi is.
yes.
You can tell Kofi seems to be struggling with being a heel a little bit. It's not really his wheelhouse. Like, it doesn't feel right. Xavier is doing a great job of being petty and bitter and all those
Mm.
things. So they either need to get Kofi. Kofi needs to either, kind of fix it a little bit, or I'm not sure. But yeah, you can tell that he's struggling a little bit with being a heel. But I thought this was a fun little segment here.
Yeah. So like comparing it to when New Day first turned heel, it was more of a goofier heel, right? Where it's just like we're gonna jab at the baby faces, we're gonna do some cheating. And with that part, it was like I think Kofi get with it because it's more of a goofier heel, right? With this one, I would say it's less goofier, and like right now, I think they're still trying to find their footing, right? Going towards the interview, right? And Kobe was like, George's son has come home, and Kathy was like, all the other people. It didn't land for me because no offense, you have to be in this situation. You have to be a little ditzy and a little bit oblivious. And Kathy does not seem like that person. So every time they're like Atlanta's son and they're pointing at Xavier, it's like, ma'am, are you not reading the hands? Or not reading like no film? Like I was annoyed at how she was trying to be ditzy. It's like, ma'am, you cannot be this ditzy. They're talking about him, so stop it. Like looking back at the women who played ditzy, Christy Hemming, Allie from TNA, they played it perfectly where you actually believe them. Kathy playing Dissy right now, it was annoying. I'm like, girl, they're pointing at Xavier. Don't do this. So are you trying to be stupid or are you trying to be a troll? So in that point, I didn't like that. But I did like Kofi and Xavier where they're like, they're talking about Xavier bought tickets for his parents. And Kofi was like, are they coming? And Kofi was like, Xavier was like, I paid money. They better be coming. And so I love that scenario. It's like, hey, I paid for the tickets. They better be coming. And so I love that scenario of that.
This ultimately led into the next match, which was Rey Mysterio with the LWO versus Xavier Woods with Kofi Kingston. Before the match, or right as everyone's coming down, you get a shot of the fans in the crowd. Lots of lots of Atlanta rappers there, lots of celebrities there, and then they flash to the seats where Xavier's family is supposed to be sitting, and the seats are empty at the moment. So these two have a match, and ultimately Rey Mysterio gets the win, which I think works well because Xavier and Kofi. It's always great to see the heels lose to a certain extent, and
Yeah.
especially when they're already in that kind of delusional spiral from not getting what they want already, and now they're losing more, and it just further fuels their delusional heel spin. So I'm here for that, making Xavier more mad, all those things. At the same time, this is New Day, ultimately, or whatever you're going to call them. It is Xavier and Kofi, and they can't lose too long. I mean, you got to remember, this is, whether it's with Big E or not, Freebird Rules or not, this is one of the greatest tag teams of all times in the history of WWE, and they can't lose too much forever, right? It's just not believable. They are still Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So, that being said, Rey Mysterio gets another win. And, it is what it is. What do you think of the match?
Don't think I didn't see that little flicker of hurt in your eye. We had to say, Rey Mysterio won. That go ahead. So we're in WrestleMania season, right? And I think we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen, right? And I say that because people are like, well, why is Kofi and Xavier losing? They're now a heel team. It should be better. And to that I say, I think they're waiting on their moment at Mania. So I think like whoever's the tag team champions, I think they're going to win it at Mania because they are a big deal, and that storyline leading up to the heel turn has been a big deal. So right now, I think I'm not going to say they're treading water on when to do it. So and to that I say I don't care. I don't mind it at all. Like you said, the heels losing is no what do you call it. It doesn't faze me, and especially with Rey Mysterio, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a former champion. And this is not a tag match, it's a singles match. So yes, they can really get your face on the freaking television. Let me see your face. He is a Hall of Famer and he is a former heavyweight champion, no matter how much you don't want this to happen or not. So yes, Xavier or Kofi losing to this former world heavyweight champion is not that big of a deal. Now they're losing to some scrubs. We gotta have a come to Jesus moment, but they're not losing to a scrub. They're losing to Rey Mysterio, so it's fine. And then, like I said, and then it was hilarious. Xavier's family finally coming, and they finally have the shirts that said New Day Son. Like what? It's like yes. Yeah, I do love that story.
So disrespectful. And then they pose with Ray afterwards. So Ray, the deadbeat dad who can't take care of his own family, is now over hugging it out with this family?
Yes. And number one, if you provide for your child, like you're a deadbeat. Was your child straight? Was your child good? Yes. So you was not a deadbeat if you knew your child was straight. Side note. No, yeah, I do love this though. Where it's like, cause rewinding when Kofi and Xavier was trying to dap up Pete Dunne and Ludwig, they're still like, no, we ain't beefing. I love that. Where what they did to Big E was so egregious, nobody's rocking with them. I love that. And if we need a switch turn on when the light clicks, I think the switch is going to turn when they finally when they truly don't care about what everyone thinks. That's when they should start winning. They're like, you know what? We don't care. Like when you truly don't care about your parents, about everybody in the locker room, and you just focus on winning. I think that's when they should start winning, and we lead to them winning the titles. But as of this moment, yes, I am very entertained about everybody not liking them. No. And yes, when you bring, I'm pretty sure they've been in everybody's house, right? The New Day. So yes, when you bring your friend over to your house, and it's actually the good friend that actually makes you better, and you kick them out. Yes, I don't like you no more. What you did was wrong, son. What you did was wrong. So yes, this was entertaining to me. And side note, Zelina Vega is going to SmackDown. They said it over commentary. I'm like, yes and no, because she's not leaving WWE. She's just going to another brand. But it's kind of like I wish I had a little backstage moment of her saying bye to LWO. But I'm optimistic about her going to SmackDown because instantly I'm like, her versus Chelsea Green. Let's go. Her versus Chelsea Green will be entertaining as hell. Please do that, sir. So. Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would have been nice, with all the stuff that's going on with the transfer portal. It would be nice if they made a bigger deal about Zelina Vega moving. I mean, to be fair, I know she's been Queen of the Ring and champion before, but, she's also one of those women that I do think, doesn't. I think she has her fans, and she is over in her way. I'm not sure WWE sees her as like a face of the women's division type of wrestler like that. And so, at least from the way they book her. So, I kind of understand why they give her that treatment. I'm not sure that it's fair. She probably deserves better than that, but I kind of understand why they do that. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I thought this was, a lot of fun. And I'm definitely here for the continued driving Xavier Woods crazy, making him now his family sides with Big E and Ray, and it just further, like I said, that spiral is fun to watch. They do that, and he's doing it well. So when it's done well, it's a lot of fun. We get a video of Seth and beating Drew last week, but got accidentally kicked by Sami Zayn. And then in the locker room, Sami tells him it was an accident. Seth realizes that, but is suspicious about Sami's relationship with Roman and doesn't want it to happen again. And it seems they're good for the moment. Anything you want to say about that?
I like it. I like it when people are not stupid. So I do like their Seth's like, look, I get it, go to the next thing. But I was like, but hold up, you do it again. We're gonna have to have a talk. Like, all right, cool, bet, right? And like after Royal Rumble, we'll see how everything how the landscape is. But like right now, yeah, okay, cool.
It's Yeet time. Jey Uso is coming to the ring with Quavo. Fans do love to yeet. That is for sure.
It's an ad workout.
I know that they think it's extremely funny, and like the first couple of times it was. But can we already stop with the Michael Cole not being able to do the handshake with Jey Uso? It's already played out for me.
You have to break him and Pat up to make them stop doing that. But yeah, they're probably like that's just pure fun. I don't think I know sometimes WWE can push a joke over the edge or stop doing it. But with that, I think it's just pure fun. So until Pat and Michael split up, they're gonna do that.
Jay says he's gonna win the Rumble. He still thinks he could beat Gunther and Seth, and that they both have his name in their mouths. And that he's going to be the new heavyweight champion after he wins the Royal Rumble and goes to WrestleMania and wins the title. This was interesting to me because very rarely do you have an in-ring promo where it's literally just the guy giving a promo and that's basically it. Like there was nobody else came out, there was no real other involvement, there was nobody, and that's odd for me when it comes to in-ring stuff. Usually that's more backstage or video type stuff. So that being said, I thought it was fine. I mean, Jay's great and Jay was in the ring doing his thing. So I thought the promo came out fine. Anything you want to say about it?
Well, they're in Atlanta. So it's like bring on the Atlanta rapper. He wants to have a live segment. So it's like this is probably who better than Jey Uso? Let's do the whole thing. It was hilarious that he had to talk right after the whole thing, where he's like, "Down sit," because I don't think they realize how much energy it takes to do this for a good 5 minutes, and then I'm walking to the ring, and then it feels like they again, like I said, this was really for what's his name? What's the rapper's name?
Quavo.
It was really for Quavo, right? So it's like they hit the replay button and they played his theme song longer or again. So it's like after I was like, okay, it's like I needed that. Whew. Give me a minute. I'm good. But then when he finally started talking, I did love how he said it. Where, like I said, Saturday Night Main Event, it was like not sure what they're doing with that. Like if they're actually going to if they're actually going to make that like a once a month thing or a regular show. But last Saturday Night Main Event was actually more. I think it was more entertaining than the first one, in my opinion. And him. So. You want to say something about Saturday Night Main Event?
I was just saying I enjoyed this one better than the first one too. I think it takes a minute. Sometimes it feels like it's weird, but it feels like sometimes it takes WWE a minute to get that groove on some things. But I mean, the second one was definitely better than the first one. And as a fan from the '80s, and a kid growing up, I'm nostalgic for Saturday Night's Main Event. So no, as long as they continue to do it good, I hope that it's a regular thing. So.
And then side note. Jesse, the Body Ventura, I had questions on how good he was going to be coming out the commentary. He was actually really, really good. I'm like, hold on, wait, on both sides. I'm like, maybe because I haven't heard of him. I don't know. I'm like, if y'all want to bring him back, like for one of your top 4 main things, he was so good. That was surprising to me so freaking much.
There's a lot of people that just because it's been around for so long have been lost kind of to history and forget kind of their contributions and how good they were. Jesse's one of those guys. Now, politically and, separate from his wrestling character, sometimes he leaves a little to be desired. He's not necessarily my favorite kind of person in the world, but on commentary and as a wrestler, he was always solid. And on commentary, he's amazing. And watching him on Saturday night's main event just brought it all back. You just remember how good he actually is, and still, he's still great. I mean, I'd rather listen to him over a lot of people. So, yeah,
Yeah, as a heel commentator, I loved him. But yeah, I bring that up because so when Jay finally caught his breath and he got real serious, he was like, Saturday night event, it was him versus Gunther. He's like, I almost beat him. I know I can beat him. So I need another shot. How did I get that shot? By throwing out 29 other people. I'm entering the Royal Rumble and I'm winning all that, and I'm winning that mug. Yeet, let's go. I actually liked what he said, how he said it. That was like, okay. They're like, men and women entering the Royal Rumble, it can get really generic. But I actually liked it because you can tell he's like, I also love that he pinpointed who he wanted to face. He's like, Cody, he's like, I know I can beat Gunther. I know I can beat Gunther, so let's do it. And, in a world of gumdrops and rainbows, if you wanted Jey Uso to win and again beat Gunther, I wouldn't mind that at all. Like that as a program, I wouldn't mind that for WrestleMania either. Don't have to be the main event. It could be the first. It could be the first match of either night one or night two. I wouldn't mind that at all. So, yeah, I think this segment was cool.
yeah. I mean, as far as Jay goes, he's as hot now as he's ever been. Either either with the Uso with Jimmy as a tag team or on his own. And right now, the thing is that you got to hit when like you said, strike when the iron's hot. And if you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. Jay wins the Rumble. Jay beats Gunther at WrestleMania, and Jay's the champion. I mean, as much as I have some questions and reservations about Jay being the face of WWE in that regard. But at the same time, he is so good, and right now he's so in his bag that how can you argue with it? I mean,
Like
so.
top merch seller, everyone's doing this. Probably one of the best entrances as of right now. Like he deserves a decent reign, whether it's the IC title, United States, or even the heavyweight championship. He deserves a decent reign. Not like I beat you once and I lose it. No, let him actually have a proper reign, a proper program, please.
I agree. Next, we had several things that happened backstage. Jackie's with Lyra, Valkyria, who's got some big news. She will be joining the Women's Royal Rumble, which I think is cool. There's going to be a lot of women in this Rumble. There's a lot of men. And obviously we know there's going to be 30, but there's a lot of big name stars in both Rumbles so far, which I like. And Lyra, she's a solid wrestler, and I'm happy to see her in the Women's Royal Rumble. Anything you want to say about Lyra in the Rumble?
This was cool. Lyra still has it claim to me, where it's just like I'm hyped on her. I'm excited by her, but let her do something, because you did make it. You call it. It is a big thing that she is your women's IC champion. So it's like in some capacity, let's shine a light on her. We know she's not winning, so like after this, y'all need to give her a program. Y'all need to let her wrestle. I think like it's a 2.5 hour Raw. So yes, can we please give her some matches, something for her to do?
Yeah, I agree. If you weren't going to do that, why bring her up from NXT? Just leave her in NXT and let her cook there with all the women that are there. Chad Gable.
This is a narcissistic call up. This is like, let's call a spade.
Chad Gable and American Made interrupt. Chad says Ivy Nile will be taking the Intercontinental Women's Championship for him and the team. They'll both be in their respective Royal Rumble matches as well. And don't be surprised if both Ivy Nile and Chad Gable get the win. They walk up to Otis and to Zawa and Maxine Dupree, and Chad Gable continues his typical heel work as he verbally basically beats down the three of them. What do you think of this when Chad Gable and them come into the scene here and kind of take over this segment?
I love Chad Gable being his comedy bag. So just like Ivy now is gonna win the women's IC championship for me, and Ivy and Lyra's like, huh? It's like for the king. So I did love that. That's hilarious. Side note, I loved Ivy in NXT. So I do want her to get some more reps. So her versus Lyra, give me that. Yes, please. Now
Yeah, I
her
agree.
that Chad and the Alpha Academy. We want more for Chad Gable and all these people. Can they be someone else besides Alpha Academy? It feels like this is their recipe for Chad Gable. He lost. We have to rebuild him up. Who is going to beat the Alpha Academy? It's like there are other people he can be. He can be other people. He is that good, people. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was going to have that program with the Wyatt Six, and for whatever reason, it did what it did for like several weeks, and then it fluttered out, and now they're on SmackDown. I guess they've been over to
Yeah.
SmackDown, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, that was
obviously,
a proper. At least that was a proper ending. I still want their ending with them in the Final Testament. But yeah, I want one. If he ever does this again to Otis, I want Otis to say, "And what have you done since you broke up with us? You like we on the same boat. You haven't gotten better than us. Don't do that." I want Otis to finally say that. The last time he just starts yelling at people, he's like, "Bruh, you haven't won anything either."
I mean,
Like
the problem with this is that you continue to try to, in one respect, you push Chad Gable and you try to give him things to make him a bigger star, and then you put him in programs continuously over and over again with the same guys that are not big stars, or that you're not pushing that way. I'm not saying Otis and Tozawa couldn't be. Maxine Dupree, she might be a little bit different story. They could be potentially bigger stars if you pushed them that way, but you haven't. You've made a joke out of Otis and a total comedy show out of Tozawa. I mean, even more than Otis to a certain extent. And so when you put Chad Gable back in that vortex, it brings him back down to that mid card feel, as opposed to where you felt like you were trying to push him up to the main card or to that main event level. So it's weird. Like, it feels like two steps forward, one step back. I mean, they don't seem to, like you said, they don't seem to really know what to do with Chad Gable long term.
yeah, agreed.
Next, we had Bianca and Naomi versus Liv and Raquel in a non-title match, but a win could likely earn Liv and Raquel a title shot in the future, so it does have some importance. And as a result, unfortunately, Liv and them do get the win here. They have Dirty Dom comes out to distract the referee, as you would imagine. That's how they can justify Liv and Raquel getting the win. Judgment Day sticks their nose in. And, for all intents and purposes, even though Liv was the women's champion, and Raquel, they're clearly trying to push her. In my opinion, the only way that Liv and Raquel should be beating Bianca and Naomi is with the help from someone from Judgment Day. So, in that regard, storyline wise, it makes sense. And, if you're ultimately, the tag team champions need contenders, and if they need a match. So if the match is against Liv and Raquel, that's what you want to do next. Then a win here obviously gets them that future opportunity, not set in stone, but a win goes a long way to saying, hey, we deserve a title match. So Liv and Raquel got the win here. And anything you wanted to say about the match before we talk about? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Dom's there, he's celebrating, and it appears he's kind of out of the doghouse, apparently, with Liv and Raquel. So, what do you think of this match and them getting the win?
I agree with you with all of it, because some people are like, "Oh, Liv doesn't look like she's the compare." I don't care about Liv, so it's hard for me to be like, "Oh, she should win. She should beat anybody clean." In my mind, no, she should not. Like let her cheat for everything. That's just me. Now, like I said, in this match, at least Dom helping them out serves a purpose, right? Like, honestly, besides, there was nothing he could have done to get out of the doghouse besides giving Liv a title shot, right? So I'm here for all of that. And like you said, this is the only way they should be beating Bianca and Naomi. So I liked all. I don't like them winning, but I like how they did it.
Agreed. Let's see. We then have Kathy's backstage with Rhea Ripley. She's a little banged up, but she's reminded Nia Jax why she's always on top. Rhea doesn't care who wins the Royal Rumble, and then here comes Bayley. She won the Rumble last year and was successful at WrestleMania, so she'll see Rhea at WrestleMania this year. Rhea wishes her luck. Here comes Io, and she says she'll be there to see her at the Royal Rumble. So we've got Damage Control. They'll both be in the Royal Rumble, so that will be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. What do you think of this little segment here with Rhea and Nia? I'm sorry, with Rhea and Bayley and Io.
So I like this, right? It's like that. It feels like we had to get past Saturday main event to get the focus on Royal Rumble for certain people. So it's like, don't worry, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be in there. When Io came out, it was like, so. Sorry, brain fart. I'm gonna get together. There we go. I think we were saying like last year, we were saying for a couple of times, Raw needs Bayley. Raw needs Bayley. But we were so worried about, Io's over here. She's going to get stuck back into the Damage Control vortex. I love that they took their time with putting Bayley on Raw. Because now, when you get that moment between her and Io, it was like, oh, shoot, remember? We do remember. It's like when you wait for it, that moment becomes bigger than what it would have been if you would just put Bayley on Raw, like right after Becky did come back after her vacation, right? So I love that moment, and that makes the Women's Royal Rumble that more interesting. And again, in a fantasy world, in a perfect world, I want Bayley versus Rhea, but Bayley is one of the people where not sure who, but they don't see her as a top person. Like, you're our top mid Carter, our top person to put in for someone to beat in the main event, but not our top person to put the company on their backs. So, like, I don't have any high hopes for Bayley, but I'm hoping in the match they're going to at least set something up for her at Mania. Like, either like her and Io scrap or her someone else scrap with her. I'm here for all that.
No, I agree. I agree completely. I'm not totally sure why, and I mean, I'm not sure why. I think I know why, but she's definitely when you rank the workhorse, the four horsewomen, she's usually in that fourth position. And, right. I mean, it just is by default, right? I mean, when you talk about it, I mean, you can't, I mean, I guess it's, Charlotte, you have your views on Charlotte or whatever, but, Bayley for sure. I mean, Becky, I think you can argue all the way around. Bayley has her lovers, her fans and all those things, but I think that's probably the proper placement. At the same time, I also think that she is good enough that WWE shouldn't have any hesitations to let her be the face of the company. I mean, there's no reason why Bayley can't carry the WWE Women's Division. She might not be Becky, Charlotte, or Sasha, but she's almost them, and she's, for all intents and purposes, still better than a lot of the other women you have in the mix too. So,
yeah. And in the ring, I put her before Becky.
Oh, interesting.
In the ring, she's better than Becky.
Interesting. We get Penta announcing he will be in the Royal Rumble, which should be very interesting. I'm hoping he has a nice appearance. Obviously, I don't imagine he's going to win. That would be awful surprising at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love it, but I mean, that would be very unpredictable. I can't see that happening yet.
Like him versus Gunther, the chest chop of champions. Yes, please. But again, we're not going to get our hopes up on stuff that's not going to happen.
So then we get Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is here. He says
because was this the part where Braun comes out and we do a face-off between Braun and Penta? You're muted. I can't hear you.
I don't remember when that happened.
We'll talk about it now. But it's a face-off between Braun and Penta. And last week we were talking about, Braun needs something to do. This is something to do. Do this. Yes, do this now, please. Yes.
Yeah, for some reason I maybe I wasn't watching. Maybe I looked away. I don't really remember that. I remember the Penta video announcing he was in the Rumble, but I don't remember him facing off with Braun. But yeah, no, I mean Penta needs something to do. Braun needs something to do. You know, Gunther had that belt and really elevated it. And not that it's fallen back a little bit, but maybe it's not quite as it was when it was on Gunther's waist. So they need to do something. They need to continue to do what they've been doing with Braun, which is give him big wins and hype him up. So a win over Penta would probably go a long way at this point. So that being said, I really don't want Penta to lose to Braun Breaker, but
yeah, just give us a match and we'll figure out who wins.
Paul Heyman is here. He says he's always been popular in Atlanta. He's the one behind the one, the GOAT, the tribal chief.
Stop saying that crap.
And the cover athlete of WWE 2K25. Let me tell you how petty I am. I have every year of WWE 2K, and I might not buy it just because Roman is on the cover.
What? You emotional crackhead. Are you serious?
That was the first thought that went through my head. I'm not getting it this year because Roman's on the fucking cover. I'm tired.
Are you serious? Come on. Paul's in the corner. Can you do it for Paul's sake? Paul's in the corner of the freaking thing, too.
Let's see. Maybe they'll Roman is going back to the mindset of one versus all for the Rumble. He took back the follow from Solo and is coming back for his championship. It starts on Sunday at the Royal Rumble. Roman isn't just the biggest star on Raw or in WWE. He's the biggest star on the planet. There are two types of men that will be in the Royal Rumble. One is Roman Reigns, and the other are Roman Reigns wannabes. They pray to God to let them be Roman Reigns. Paul starts to leave, but then here comes Drew's music. Drew enters across the ring from Paul, looks up at the giant poster. Tell Paul's not happy about this. He doesn't want to be in the ring with Drew McIntyre because he doesn't know what Drew might do, and Paul's not really ready to take a bump. Drew says the only person that should be nervous around here is Sami Zayn, and Drew just really wants to talk. And let's see, he says Drew is the daddy of the bloodline. He explains why he's ultimately the one that created it because he won the Rumble in 2020 and won the championship. After that, Paul swam to shore, got in Roman's ear, and harnessed all of that talent for evil. And the bloodline took over and all that follows. So everyone should thank Drew for the fact that the bloodline is here. And if you're a Roman Reigns fan, you owe Drew. He wants Paul to tell his boy that he's going to beat him and eliminate him at the Royal Rumble. Paul says he'll pass on the message to Roman. Drew says he was talking about Paul's boy, CM Punk. Not Roman Reigns. Ooh. What do you think of this, Paul and then Drew?
So this is when Drew's in his bag. When you're a heel who makes valid points, and it's like, oh wow, that is when it started. It started in the Panorama, and him beating the Beast kind of started this whole thing. So props to Drew for laying it on. I love that Paul's not a punk anymore. Like we're so after Drew was done, he's like, Paul's like, I get that, but you're crowding me. And so it was like, I was like, all right, look at you. Now that Roman's back, you got a little backbone. I like that for you, Paul. This was, like you said, this was all good because once again, you know what, WWE might know what they're going to do for WrestleMania, but for the life of me, Anika, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're going to set up. So just those little pops up of tell your boy CM Punk, it's like, ooh, it's like, because we really didn't get, like, unfortunately and fortunately, CM Punk got hurt before WrestleMania. So anything, him versus Seth got scrapped. But him and Drew was a great feud. So if y'all want to run that back at Mania, I'm here for that. So that little hint of where's the tide blowing on how they're going to set matches up. I love that. So this was nice. This was cool.
That brought us to our main event match of the night. Not our main event segment, but our main event match of the night. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. In the match they've been hyping up all night. And ultimately, Drew does get the win in the roll up. Was a roll up. We all know how I feel about that. That being said, it is what it is. Again, I guess after 11 minutes you're somewhat tired, and I guess whatever. But so Drew gets the win. What do you think of the match before we get into the post match stuff? What do you think of this match ultimately, and Drew getting the win here?
So it was Drew and Sami, and for me, I'm trying to think back. Sami has not given us a bad match where it's just like, oh, that was terrible. So it's like so this was going to be a good to decent to great match, right? So I love that. Unlike you, I love when even though it's a roll up, I love when it serves a purpose. So to start off by saying that Sami has never beat Drew, I'm like, really? That's interesting. Where it's like that's like let me just go back. Never beat Drew. Dang. So Drew cheating to win with his feet on the ropes. I'm like, oh, you petty little man. He's like you just want to keep that streak going. But you just you couldn't beat him. So that keeps Sami strong. So I was cool with all this. This was entertaining to say the least for a main event, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see Sami in the main event. It could kind of take or leave Drew. I think this is better Drew than it has been in the past, obviously, than when he just was walking out with Angela. I hated the sword. I do, the roll up does work a little bit better when you put your feet on the ropes and, cheat a little bit. So at least it's not just a clean roll up. Yeah, I mean, Drew, because he's, a heel, I guess, makes a little sense why he got the win here. I mean, we talk about often how heels, take the losses so that it furthers fuels their heel fire. But here, the reality is that Drew, I don't want to say this because I don't feel this way, but it feels this way. WWE, I think, sees Drew and Sami on different levels. I don't, but I think they do. And maybe other wrestling fans, like maybe Drew's a little above Sami, so it doesn't surprise me that he gets a win here. Sami, it feels like Sami has to struggle all the time to remain relevant in the main event picture. It's always a fight, whereas Drew is he's always in the main event picture, even when he's not performing well. So, to a certain extent, I kind of get it. Drew's more your prototypical wrestler, all those kinds of things. You have a lot of money invested in Drew. And, Sami has, for all intents and purposes, Sami has broken his glass ceiling, right? Sami's performed above all of his expectations and maybe what you thought his potential might be. So, I think a lot of people never thought Sami Zayn would be this guy. So, as a result, they never really booked him that way until recently. But as a result, Drew still feels like he's slightly on a level above when it comes to WWE hierarchy. So him getting the win here doesn't really surprise me. Sami's always the underdog, and when he gets the losses and then come back and gets a win, it's always a big deal anyhow. So he'll get the next win, I'm sure. Afterwards, Sami is complaining to the ref before Drew attacks him. And then here comes Cody. Cody runs down, hits the Cody cutter on Drew. Drew's out of the ring. Here comes KO. KO and Cody fight. And then Drew attacks him again from behind. Drew's back. Sami tries to kick Drew in the corner, but Drew moves. And Cody eats the haluva kick. 2 weeks in a row now that Cody has been hit with the haluva kick from Sami.
Wait. No. The first week was Seth. This week was
that's right. The first week it was Seth. The second week it was Cody. That's right. Okay. Well, he's hit the two. He's hit people the wrong person twice now. Let's put it that way. KO likes it. Is happy that Sami kicked Cody. Pats on the shoulder. And that's basically the end of that post-match segment there. What do you want to say? Anything you want to say about that?
I love this, and then more so the whole Sami, like, sir, you've been doing a haluva kick for how long? I need you to hit your target or learn how to stop. If someone I have to rewatch it, but them getting out of the way is not fast enough for you to stop. It's not fast enough to be like, oh, it's an accident. Yeah, if they get away fast enough, put your foot down, sir. Put your foot down. Now, side note, the scene of Cody on the turnbuckle and him and Sammy and KO standing by each other and KO hitting. It's like, don't do this to us. Don't do this to me. Because I want it, but I don't want it because friendship, yay. But boo, KO is on his heel bag right now. So no, Sam, you can't be a heel with him, boo. So all that was enjoyable. There we go. I don't want this if KO's not winning. If KO is winning, then give me all of this. If KO's not beating Cody at Royal Rumble, then screw all of this. Screw all of this, please. But, the whole bit of doubt sucks. Because, but that's what you're supposed to give me. That little hint of, are they going to pull the trigger? These podcasts ain't going to pull the trigger. They're like, don't do this. It makes the match exciting.
So main event segment. We go to a brief little video of Roman on the cover of
No. So real quick. I missed this part live because the peach came up. I thought the show was over. And then I go on YouTube and I'm about to send with him a send with Cody and freaking CM Punk. I'm like, when the frick this happened? Y'all showed the peach. You don't show the peach until it's over. So that was like, don't do that.
So they, like I said, they show the clip of Roman on the cover, and then we're back, and Cody's in the ring. He's looking up at the 2 championship belts hanging above the ring. He says it's not about the physical belts, it's about the mindset and the work. He shows up first. He leaves last. He will continue to do so, and he looks forward to the Royal Rumble when he can move past Kevin Owens and find out, well, we're not sure because CM Punk shows up. So we don't know exactly how Cody was going to finish that sentence. But CM Punk's here. He wants to know if Cody is all right. He thinks all this is getting to Cody a little bit. He explains to him, I was the champ for 434 days. It's a heavy crown to wear. It's, it takes its toll. It's stressful. Are you doing okay, friend? You got a big target on your back. There's going to be a lot of people that want that opportunity. And guess what? Unfortunately, it's going to be me. How are you going to handle it when it's me, Cody? And it's me taking your championship from you, friend. Sorry to have to do it, but it just is the way that it is, kind of. It's basically what he basically says. And Cody, they kind of whatever. Cody says, wants to see the look on Punk's face when Punk, when the best in the world isn't the best in the world anymore. And that was essentially the final word in the promo. The two of them look at each other, and Raw does go off the air. That is the official end. What do you think of this little segment here between Punk and Cody?
Listen, Punk Phil, as a real person, needs therapy, right? We can all agree about that. But CM Punk in the ring promoting a match is heaven, basically, because for me, I forgot they somewhat did this last year, where it was Cody and Punk having a little rivalry over Royal Rumble season 1, and it's like, and so for him to roll that back, and Cody was like, you are kind of you can kind of see into the future, so tell me what's going to happen, what's going to happen in the future, right? And then CM Punk, rattling off how he's going to get weary, and thankfully someone's going to climb the mountain to take the belt off of you, but unfortunately it's me. And it's like, don't worry, I'm not going to stab you in the back, I'm going to stab you in the front. Like, sir, these are not comforting words. And then more so, like I said, we don't know what they're setting up for WrestleMania, but in a good way, where you have a lot of possibilities that could work and could be entertaining. As of right now, I'm here for Punk versus Cody or Punk versus Roman. After this promo, and this, what you call it? This is you know, a slave to the moment. It just happened. Punk versus Cody is really, really tasty. I don't care about Cena. So like people talking about Punk, Cody versus Cena, y'all can go to hell in a handbasket. Sorry, emotionally, because I don't care about Cena. I really don't. Do his retirement tour someplace else, not in the main event. But yeah, but for me, if y'all want to do Cody versus Punk, I am here for that. I am definitely here for that. And again, this segment did its job where we don't know who's going to win the World Rumble, but you can't wait to find out. And so, yeah. And then the prospect of WrestleMania has gotten that much greater. So this was a great way to end the segment.
Yeah, I mean, for the Go Home Raw, I mean, we've discussed this before. It's the Go Home Raw. Technically, SmackDown's the Go Home Show, but this is a Go Home Raw.
Yeah,
I thought this main event, even though I'm not a big fan of, promo segments being the main event, this did what it's supposed to do, which is further hype up the Royal Rumble. I think it's extremely unpredictable this year. I'm extremely excited at this point in time that I don't think Brock Lesnar's gonna be there if he shows up.
Please, he is like again, ladies and gentlemen.
Very unhappy.
I have rolled this belt with y'all till the wheels have fell off. I should. Sometimes it really is like, why am I still here? Why am I still rocking with y'all? And I know the reason, because certain people I do love and want to support. Naomi, Bianca, it was AJ Styles, but he's gone. KO, Sammy, these are my people. So until they leave, I won't leave. In every scenario, in every decade, there are people that I'm rooting for, even though I know you're going to treat them like crap, right? So in the 2020s, it is definitely Bianca, Naomi, KO, and Sammy. These are the people that I'm rocking with and are making me stay here. Now, to that I say, if Brock Lesnar comes back, I may take a break. I want to know these backstage. I realize want to know who is promoting, like who is saying this is a good idea. And again, before we knew about all of his freakiness, right? Before we knew about him, I am not a Brock Lesnar fan. I could not stand 2002. They put the belt on this new dude, and I'm like, why the frick are we doing? Like when he beat Rock, I'm like, maybe some people are enthralled with the monster. I'm like, why the frick y'all do that? What are we doing? And literally, and then he left. Proving that you shouldn't put the belt immediately on a new dude. That's stupid. Then 2014, that was a hell in a handbasket where he's just beating everybody and taking a 6-month break. Don't know what the freak y'all was doing with that scenario. So I don't get the appeal of Brock Lesnar, and to the point of y'all are real life debating this situation. Where I'm like, no offense, him versus Gunther. No, that's not appealing to me. He is not appealing to me. He does not need to come back.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've never been a Brock Lesnar fan. I've always been a big Brock Lesnar hater. So, I don't know if that's something that they've literally talked about, but it sounds like maybe you've heard that. I mean, I was just saying it just because he's always my nightmare entrant for a Royal Rumble, just because I can't stand him and he always throws everybody out. And all I can think of is the one year where he stood in the ring and threw each person out before the next person could come down.
Oh my God, that was a story. No, it wasn't. That was stupid. Especially when it was big. It was 3 dudes. It was 3 big dudes, and they couldn't get it was Keith Lee, Braun Strowman, and someone else. I'm like, yeah, and then he still beat it. No, that is not him being that dominant. It's making everyone look like a punk. And so I did not like that Royal Rumble. But they're like every time they bring up the for Paul Heyman, the flip side of it is, right, for most of Paul Heyman's career in WWE, it is tied to Brock, right? So in that scenario, you can't X out him, or you're Xing out most of 50 to 45% of Paul Heyman's career in WWE, you're kind of Xing that out if you X out Brock Lesnar, right? So the whole when Paul says the one behind the 29 and all that, like all that associated with the piece, it's like people are like, oh, they're saying a lot. It's like on one hand it could be a tease, but on the other hand, that's part of Paul's legacy in WWE for better or for worse. So it's not like it's like, are they teasing or is it like, hey, you really can't ignore it? Like I was listening to an interview with Kurt Angle, and they're talking about how does he feel about Chris Benoit. He's like, look, as a person, what he did was horrible. There's no excuse. But he's like, but for my legacy as a wrestler, I can't not talk about him. They're like, because they're like, when it happened with Chris Benoit, he was like, they're like, talk like he never existed. And he's like, well, then you're kind of, and Kurt Angle was like, but you're taking away some of my best matches if I do that. Like and this is true, unfortunately. Like some of Kurt Angle's best matches was with Chris Benoit. So it's like you have to separate the work from the artist from the artist, the art from the artist, right? And so with Brock Lesnar, and even though it's not that diabolical, it's getting close. With Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, you can't separate you gotta separate the art from the artist. So with Paul Heyman, you can't you gotta bring him up once or twice. And I'm fine with that. But he don't need to come back. He don't need to come back.
No doubt, for sure. No, I mean, ultimately, I don't really care a whole lot about CM Punk or Cody Rhodes. I'm not a fan of either. So, these two being, the main event segment of the Go Home Raw, I understand why they're there. I understand why they're mega superstars. I understand I'm in the minority. I get it. And you're hyping up the Royal Rumble. They're both going to be in it. And, so in that regard, it's fine. And I thought the segment came off fine for what it was. It just doesn't hold a whole lot of interest for me. That being said, I thought it was a solid Raw. I thought it was I'm going to say it was a solid B. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid B. There wasn't anything egregious, but there was nothing that I thought was amazing either. I would have rather seen Sammy beat Drew. I understand why Drew won, but I would have rather seen Sammy won. I would have rather, WWE, and that's what I like about AEW more than WWE, is that WWE really is the land of the talking. I wish there was a little less talking, a little less promo segments, but it is what it is. Jay's was really good. I liked that he didn't get interrupted and it didn't devolve into something stupid. So I like that. But anytime the talking is my main event segment of a show, even though it's hyping the match and even though it's doing what it's supposed to do, and for me personally, when it's CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, the excitement level drops for me a little bit. So I'm going to give it a solid B. What's your grade for this week?
Reviewing it, I'm biased. I'm not even going y'all seen our show. We know who loves who show better, right? So I'm not trying to be biased. Like you said, there's nothing egregiously stupid. Even though, like you said, when it comes to people winning or losing, that's just me as a fan, right? Or that's just me as a fan. But it's not anything like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, right? And like you said, for go home shows of Raw, it was actually probably one of their best go-home shows for a pay-per-view. Like I said, usually SmackDown does the heavy lifting, but this actually did the heavy lifting for the go-home show of Royal Rumble. So, with all of that being said, B plus A minus. A minus. I don't care. A minus. As a go home show for Royal Rumble, I'm going to give it an A minus. You're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you.
That's right. I keep forgetting because of the echo. I have to mute and then I forget that it's muted. Anika went with A minus. I went with B. So that's the end of our first show that we're reviewing today, and we'll jump right into NXT from the next night, which was a very fun show, I thought. This is from Atlanta, Georgia as well, so we're not in the Capitol Wrestling Center like we usually are. We're getting ready for Vengeance Day, which is coming up soon here. We will get The Grayson Waller effect tonight with Oba Femi, which we'll talk about when that segment comes up. That's the big, which I think is weird. That was like the big advertisement of the show, which when you think about the other stuff that was on the show, it's kind of a weird thing. But nonetheless, it is what it is. The show opens with here's Bailey making her return again. Not return again. I mean, she's been here now for a couple weeks, but I'm
Yeah.
still furthering her return. How's that? To
Right.
NXT, her co-show duties, because she's been on both Raw and NXT recently. So she's here on NXT and she's teaming with the new NXT Women's World Champion, Julia, versus the woman that
Yes.
Julia beat for the title, the former World Women's World Champion Roxanne Perez and her friend Cora Jade. I still say before this match, before we even talk about this, one of these things is not like the other. Unfortunately, no offense to Cora Jade, but all offense in reality. She does not actually belong in the spot. But this match was okay. Julia hits, or I'm sorry, Bailey ultimately hits the top rope elbow on Cora Jade. Cora Jade eats the pin at about 13 minutes, which is, in theory, as we're talking about this, Cora Jade should be the one to take the pin out of these three women. It leaves Roxanne still looking somewhat strong. I thought this match made all three women, well, three of these women look really good. Cora Jade looked solid. I mean, she looked
Yeah.
okay. But Julia and Bailey together is a lot of fun. I really enjoy that.
It was.
And Roxanne Perez is great. I mean, she is what she is, right? She's a superstar. So I thought this was a lot of fun and a great way to open the show. What did you think about it?
This was yeah. So this was a little black and goldish. We're not starting with the promo. We're not starting with talking. We're actually starting with a match. And what better way than your NXT Women's Champion and your former Women's NXT Champion versus your former NXT Champion and your NXT Tag Team Champion. We put a lot of Cora Jade, right? And even though, yes, one of these things is not like the other, she did solid where she didn't suck in this. Like sometimes in a match, I just need you not to mess it up. And Cora Jade did not mess it up, so kudos to her. And like I said, this was a great match. Please go back and watch it. This is the highlight of the week in wrestling for me. I don't go around watching all the wrestling, but I can pretty sure this is definitely top 5, right? Because you have Cora, you have Roxanne, Bailey, and Julia. I love that, Bailey and Julia got the win, as they should. I know I feel like we're leading to Roxanne versus Bailey, but if you want to get a triple threat between Bailey, Roxanne, and Julia, I'm here for that too. I'm here for all of that. But yeah, this was a great way to set off NXT, and I enjoyed this thoroughly.
I agree. The women's division in NXT right now is the best women's division going, and they're doing a great job of showcasing that and opening the show with these, women is a great way to continue to do that. So, let's see. Eddie Thorpe says he's not done. He's going to make his mark on NXT. Nobody really cares.
Stop. Be done. Stop.
Next, we get the Grayson Waller effect with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. We are in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of Austin Theory, so he is extremely popular. They're chanting for him. They bring out Oba Femi, who is their guest for this week. Oba says, I'm the only one. I'm the only one of them to be NXT champion. But Theory talks about how getting to the main roster is the big deal, and that he's going to end up selling T-shirts instead of making it to the main roster. And Oba says, well, I'm happy to be either one of you. Asks where their titles are and offers them a title shot at Vengeance. Waller tries to accept, but Ava says, no. She makes the matches. And cue Trick Williams, who ultimately gets, flattened by Oba when it's all said and done with a fall from grace after taking out Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. What we're really going to get, the match we're really going to get is Oba Femi versus Trick Williams again at Vengeance Day. What do you think of this segment with Oba on the Grayson Waller effect?
This is cute. This is cute. Like, I know you want more for Austin Theory, but for me, Austin and Grayson doing this bit is cute and hilarious. And especially Oba trying to now, playing smart by playing dumb. He's like, well, I would love to be you two. You know what? How about why don't you get a championship match because you're gonna squash him? Come on, bro, come on. And so Ava's like, sir, I don't need you to stop acting like you run the place here. And Trick is going butt crack crazy was hilarious, So I in the reign of Oba Femi, this hit all the boxes, kept them strong. You need something to do in the meantime between time because I get that he can't wrestle every week. So this was cool. This was cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought it was very solid segment for the most part. And you're right. I do want more for Austin Theory, but I guess the jury's still out. He's still young. Ultimately, I think he's like 29 or 30, so he's still got a fair amount of time ahead of him. I just need him to get away from Grayson Waller. But Izzy Dame is here, and she says there's nothing going on with her and the D'Angelo family. She helps the D'Angelo family keep the NXT title, the North American title, because neither of them like Sean Spears. And Rich Holland comes out and starts yelling at her, but Stacks comes out and cuts him off and says, "You're not going to treat a woman like that." Blah blah blah. Anything you want to say about that?
Why was Rich yelling at her? Oh, crackhead! I saw it, but it was on mute. But why are you yelling, bro? Emotionally.
I mean, we don't like Ridge, and this is further, he's a heel, and this further makes him look like an asshole. So, it works well. Next, we had a very solid match.
Okay. I need to know what happened. But talking about this segment, girl, you to my I have nothing to do with the family. Stop lying. Again, like I'm getting annoyed about you playing dumb, about women playing dumb. So let's stop that. Staff coming up in front of the story. I don't want them to replace the other girl with her. I love the other girl. She's so cute, and she's like, but they deserved it. I like. So I guess if we're gonna do a program of who gets to be the queen of the family, sure. But I'm not like, again, I don't know who this girl is, so I'm like, I'm definitely not rooting for you. And you too glamorous. You ain't gonna throw nobody over a river. So it's like I'm not sure where they're leading to this. And for Stacks, I hope is out. I'm sorry for Tony D. I hope it's something not stupid. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, Izzy Dame looks like the kind of girl that would be on Tony D's arm. But at the same time,
but you a snitch.
But at the same time, she doesn't necessarily look like the kind of ride or die chick either.
She's not.
So, but that being said, neither is Rizzo. So, and obviously that's not the relationship.
And you called yourself Rizzo to look like, yeah.
That's not the relationship between Tony and Rizzo either. I mean, Rizzo's there, like you said, more for backup and just have a tough woman, I guess. I mean, if they're gonna fight it out, it is what it is. I mean, I guess it gives them something to do. I'm not very excited for Izzy Dame versus, Rizzo. That doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
Right?
And honestly, I don't really care, especially since Tony D's destined for the main roster probably sooner than later, and I don't think any of these people are going with them. So, that being said, Izzy Dame does look like she would be the arm candy for a Tony D'Angelo. But yeah, no, it's fine in a vacuum. It's fine, but and again, it's development. So you throw things against the wall, see what happens. That being said, this Izzy Dame stuff isn't necessarily working for me, and Sean Spears needs to do something else. I mean, they need to either actually recruit some people and do something, or split this up and do something else. So I don't know, but
if the long game is the girl is being used by Sean to infiltrate the family, I'm cool for that. And we get Sean Spears versus Tony D. That would be cool.
I can see that. I'd be all right with that. We get our next match of the night, our second match of the night. Another very solid match. Trick Williams versus Wes Lee. Wes Lee is out with TNT again. It appears that this is going to be the new thing. They're going to be, I guess, his backup or whatever.
Not at all.
Let's see. Ultimately, the referee gets thrown down and Trick gets DQ'd a little over 10 minutes. After a very solid back and forth match, Wes Lee is really that dude. I love Wes Lee. I feel bad that he is probably an NXT lifer. That being said, I also would rather him be an NXT lifer and be a fairly big deal on NXT than go to the main roster and be nothing. So if he's going to get the same treatment at the main roster that essentially Carmelo Hayes feels like he's gotten, then stay there and continue to be
Yeah.
the
Yep.
bigger fish in the smaller pond. And I think probably if you ask Carmelo Hayes at this point, I bet he'd rather be back in NXT doing what he was doing than what he's doing now. But who knows? Maybe there's more money that comes with the main roster, so maybe it is worth it. But that being said, Trick getting disqualified, leaves this room open for they're going to have another match. Obviously, Wes is the heel, Trick is the face, and I thought they have really good chemistry. I enjoyed this. What do you think of this altogether? This match? Do you want to see it again?
Oh, wait, what's that? Trick and Wesley, they definitely have chemistry. Was there a time when Trick was a champion and they did this? I don't think so. So it really is like, oh, the title is right here, but it's on Oba, so that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine, right? But like side note, this was a great match. I love that Trick came out right after Trick got behind beat by Oba. So it's like, oh, you slimy little troll. You're going to come out here and try to take advantage. And Trick being going blood crack crazy. I love that. Because it's like, at this point in time, it's like, I can see why your head space is where it's at. It's like, I keep getting beat. This little dude keeps talking behind my back. Yeah, I'm all tired of people taking me for a chump, basically. So I don't like DQ finishes, but this serves the purpose of someone needs to ring Trick in, or just like, sir, I know you're unraveling a little bit, so but come back, let's have a hug, let's regroup right now. You're not doing anything to serve you, baby. Nothing's happening where you're being serviced. So I loved all of this, and yes, I want to see this again.
That's funny. Let's see. Poach match, Trick gets a chair, cleans out the whole ring. Then Ava is yelling at Oba for overstepping his grounds, for making the match between Oba versus Austin versus Grayson at Triple Threat at Vengeance Day. And Ava's mad after the break and says it's going to be Trick and Oba versus A-Town Down next week, which should be fun. I'm here for that. Anything you want to say about that?
Interesting. Because, because of the old regime, the whole can they coexist thing has wear thin on us. But it has been a minute. So you said Trick and Oba versus A-Town Down Under. We'll see how that works. If they play their cards right, it shouldn't, not even a little bit. And so if that happens, I'm here for the foolishness. I'm here for the chaos.
The Vengeance Day Triple Threat should be very interesting. I'm assuming that's just Oba getting the win, and then we're working towards Oba and Trick gets to end and deliver.
Oh, Triple Threat! I think it's a tag team match.
No. We're gonna get both. Next week we get a tag team with Oba and Trick versus those two. But then at Vengeance Day, it looks like it's gonna be the Triple Threat, which is Oba defending against Austin and Waller at their next whatchamacallit. And then when Oba gets the win there, probably Trick at the next takeover, which would be Stand and Deliver. So let's see. Next match, North American Women's title match. We talked a lot about this. This is Shotzi versus Fallon. We weren't totally sure how this was going to play out because Shotzi was able to beat Stephanie for her basically shot at the title here. And so we have Fallon Henley versus Shotzi Blackheart. Ultimately, Fallon Henley, after a solid match, does hit the hoedown or famouser.
Please don't call it. It's called the hoedown.
That's what she calls it. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the famouser either, but it is what it is as far as the name go. And Fallon retains her title. This one, I thought the match itself was really solid. I thought, Shotzi injured her leg early in the match and was kind of hobbling around a little bit. I don't know if that was a legitimate injury or not, but she did fight through and continued to have a solid match. We talked about whether it made sense to have Shotzi get the win or not, especially if Stephanie's just going to win it back. So or win it next. So if Shotzi was only going to have it for 2 weeks or a month until Stephanie beats her, then I guess I understand why they didn't do that. And a win over Shotzi does make Fallon look stronger and kind of beefs up her run here. That being said, especially in a world where there was no real interference from Fatal Influence, there's
Yeah.
no world where Fallon Henley should be beating Shotzi Blackheart. I don't think so. In
Mhm.
that regard, I was a little disappointed with that, but I kind of understand it too. What do you think of this match, and what do you think of Fallon getting the win and still being champion?
This was a great match for the people. Like Shotzi has been out for a minute, so it really was like the reintroduction to Shotzi, especially for people who watch NXT. Like she's been out for a minute on the main roster, and she was definitely out for and so her being at NXT, I don't think unless you're a Shotzi fan, I'm pretty sure no one's seen her at NXT. So this was all like, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Shotzi, and I love this match. Both women looked great, and we talked about this where it's like if you're a champion, at one point in time, you have to be someone clean. So even though, yeah, the prospect of Shotzi versus the prospect of Shotzi versus Stephanie, it is appealing. It is appealing where it's like, oh, that could rock. I am glad that Fallon did get a win clean. Even though it gets Shotzi, I am glad that she got a win clean. So when the inevitable happens of Stephanie beating her, it will be that much bigger. Then it will be just like, she's just a paper champion. So I actually did like that. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put the belt on somebody, like you've said a million times, like we've talked about a bunch, if you're going to put the belt on somebody, you got to have something, to do. You got to give them something to do, and actually, if you're going to go out there to put the title on and make him have some wins, and this win for Fallon is probably her best win as North American Women's Champion because Shotzi is Shotzi. So, her getting the win here was probably important, especially since you do book Fatal Influence as a big deal on NXT. That they're a fairly big presence on NXT. The faction itself gets a lot of time, and she is your North American Women's Champion. So, you have a vested interest in making her look good. And to be fair, Fallon's grown a lot. I mean, from when she was
Yes.
doing the stuff with Brooks and Jensen, what, a year ago, year and a half ago now, or whatever. She's
Yeah.
grown a lot. And, I don't like Fatal Influence, but I don't know if being teamed with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix is what's helped her, but whatever's helped her has helped her, and she's come a long way. So maybe it's just the training and the development. But yeah, she looked really good, and this was a very solid match, and I'm looking forward to her versus Stephanie. Post match, Stephanie comes out for the stare down, and the title match is official for Vengeance Day. We will be getting Stephanie versus Fallon Henley for the North American Women's title at Vengeance Day. I assume Stephanie gets the win. What do you think?
This kind of a tricky one because Vengeance. I want Stephanie to win. That's point blank period. But like I said, we're in WrestleMania season, so in my mind, even though you shouldn't wait for everyone to win at WrestleMania or around WrestleMania season, is Vengeance too soon? And I don't know that. I really don't know that. So this will be interesting for me. I do want Stephanie to beat. I do want Stephanie to win and beat. What's the name? Fallon Henley. But I'm like, is it too soon? That's my only question. So, but this should be a great match if it's at Vengeance Day.
Next, we have Kalani Jordan and Carmen Petrovich. They're backstage. They're arguing over Ashanti. More of this love story kind of thing. Kalani thinks Ashanti's playing with Carmen. Carmen says, "Don't worry about it, and you're just jealous because I actually have a man." Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So, anything you want to say about this?
No.
Okay. Ava is here, and she makes Julia versus Bailey versus Roxanne for the women's title at Vengeance Day. Roxanne is happy. Cora Jade is not, and I don't really care. Let me just tell you how glad I am that they didn't try to make this a fatal four-way and act like Cora Jade deserves to be involved. If Cora Jade wants to be Roxanne Perez's sidekick and Roxanne Perez wants to make her suffer pain in matches that she's in when they're tag team partners, that's fine. But Cora Jade independently, separate of being Roxanne's cohort, has no business being in the main event picture at all at this point in time. So I'm extremely excited for this match. I think this match should be amazing. I mean, these are three of the best women wrestlers out there. So I mean, I'm happy for it. I'm extremely excited for that.
Yeah, especially like giving. Even though I want Bailey versus Rhea, I'm not sure they're going to do that anytime in this place soon. So giving her something actually purposeful to do on NXT, yeah, we definitely do that. Like I said, I do think it's still going to be Roxanne versus Bailey at Takeover WrestleMania. That's what I call it. But so like to furbish that, to extend that out, triple threat. Yeah, yes, I'm here for all of this. And I agree with you. Cora Jade needs to do more before being in any of this.
Yeah, I assume Julia will win the triple threat, and then we'll have Bailey versus Roxanne. I don't know who Julia's next contender will be, but I'm assuming she'll probably get the win. We get Ethan Page, super uber heel Ethan Page, who has put Javon Evans out by breaking his jaw, and he had hurt Cedric Alexander, but Cedric's back and wants another piece of Ethan Page. So we have Ethan Page versus Cedric Alexander. Ethan Page does get the win here in a very solid match. And after the match, Ethan Page wants to do some more damage, but Javon Evans is out to break it up again, even though he's not cleared. What do you think of the match, and what do you think of Javon Evans showing up again?
Sir, your jaw is not working right now, sir. I know you're all young and spry and you want to do a lot of everything, but your jaw is literally wired shut. You cannot, until you can eat a chicken, not through a straw. You should not be here, sir. I know it's kayfabe, but yes, until you can actually eat a solid with a fork and not blend it up in a smoothie, you cannot do this, sir. Now, match wise, Ethan Page and Cedric. We talk about Cedric. I am glad that he didn't get lost in this shuffle. Where it's just like, yes, Cedric Boo Boo Bear, you deserve to be in this spot, even though Ethan should not be losing to Cedric. I mean, should not be winning. Yeah, should not be losing to Cedric. Yeah. More Cedric on my television screen, I'm all here for. So this was a great match. Great Javon little closing where it's like, sir, I need someone to talk to you. And like, I thought, what's his name? I thought Cedric got into his brain of, I got this, and yes, he lost, but at least he got, he beat down Ethan a decent amount. He got a couple of slides in, but yeah, it really is like, sir, I need you to stay home. Not sure who that person to tell him to stay home, but somebody to tell him, stay home. Not suggest it. Tell him, stay home.
Yeah, no, this Ethan Page is great. He's in his bag at the moment, and this is where Ethan Page, proves and earns his money. He's a heel, and he's a great heel. If as far as getting people to dislike you, he's great at that, and he's killing it here. So, let's see. After the Fatal Influence says they're ready for Stephanie Vicaire. We'll see what ends up happening there. I'm assuming even though she got the clean win this week, Fallon Henley, she'll probably have some help with Stephanie. But who knows? Josh Briggs is with Inamura backstage, and he gives him his very own vest so that they can match and look like a cool little tag team together. I was here for this. I like Josh Briggs a lot, and I like Inamura. I mean, this is a little sappy, but at the same time, I get it. Josh is like, I watched you in New Japan, you're blah, 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 and, it's been a dream to do this, and I, was happy to do it, and then gives them a little vest, and so now they're a more matching, coordinated team. Anything you want to say about that?
This was cute. And like I said, when they do these whole mixed match, basically buddy comp tag teams, it is a fine line of don't be belittling people or making other people look stupid. As of right now, they're doing a good job with this tag team. Where it's like it's not belittling, it's cute, it's fun. Keep going at this pace. You're doing a good job.
Yep, and that brings us to our main event of this
The
episode of
main.
NXT. We're booked cased this episode with women's matches, Julia and Bailey opening, and now Bianca and Naomi closing against Lash Legend and Miss Jakara Jackson of Metaphor in a very solid match. Let me tell you
This was
how
really
extremely
solid.
how impressed I really am with both Jakara
Yes.
Jackson and Lash Legend. I mean, a year and a half ago when Lash Legend started that whole thing with Trick, it was like, she's terrible. This is brutal. What are we going to do here? And to
Yeah.
see how far she's come, I mean, they've turned her into a respectable powerhouse woman wrestler. I mean, she is
She did.
really, really good. And so is Jakara Jackson. They're both showing, leaps and bounds. They're going by leaps and bounds. So I was very happy about that. I thought this match looked really good. I thought it came off really well. All four women looked really good. Bianca and Naomi got the win and retained their titles.
As
But
they
just
should.
defending them on NXT is great for NXT. Having Bianca and Naomi on NXT is great for NXT, along with Bailey. Being able to bring down, NXT is rolling in its own, on its own, and has a lot of great NXT superstars, but to be able to bring down some of these main roster people and have them do these things, it just adds fuel to the fire. It makes NXT that much better. So,
Yeah.
and it shows you, you can actually see now kind of a
Yeah.
marker of where Jackson and Legend are wrestling two veteran superstars like Bianca and Naomi, and they really held their own. Now, some of that is because Bianca and Naomi are really good and they can make anybody
Yes.
look good. But Legend, Lash, and Jakara both held their own and look really, really good.
Hmm.
I don't know that they're ready for the main roster yet. I let them cook on NXT for a while. They still have a
Right.
little bit to do. But no, I mean, this was impressive. I was very happy for them and for this altogether. I thought this came off really good, and I'm happy to see the women get the main event spot on NXT.
Yeah. When you say like yes, Bianca and Naomi are the top of their game. So like these, you're not facing dumb weak behind champions. On the other side of that is it's not like Bianca and Naomi are wrestling a mop. They're actually wrestling people who are doing a great job. So like you said, this is the greatness of NXT where you can see the trajectory of people and you got to see how they improved and you're like, yeah, you finally got it. Oh, y'all are actually a team. Oh, y'all are actually doing something to make y'all ready for the main roster, even though like you said, not yet, but you're actually getting there. Like in my mind, you still need challengers for the Women's North American Championship. If you wanted to be either Shakara or Lash Legend for that title, because Stephanie needs challengers, yes, please do so. Because like the tag team wise, there's not a lot of tag teams to go up against. Like you said, thankfully they're finally realizing the women tag team championships can go to each brand, but you can't do that every month, right? So if you want to, all in all, use these girls. They're ready to be used in a higher capacity. So please use these girls in a higher capacity. Great match, and again, chocolate black girl magic for the main event. I am here for all of this. This was really good. This was fun. This was great. I loved all of this.
I was a little surprised. I don't know if you noticed it at the very end. We got a test pattern. It said test pattern, and then it's all those were deleted. It just said Vengeance Day. I thought that was a little kind of weird way. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know what
Like,
kind
get like
of
a little
reference
teaser, if you want to call it that, for whatever reason.
it was very weird. But I thought this was a very solid episode. In fact, with a bunch of solid episodes in NXT being on a high recently for a while now, I felt like this was even one of the better episodes. I'm trying to think here, and even after this review, there was nothing that was even the lowest part for me this week may have been Kalani and Carmen talking about Ashante, and that was a little 30-second segment backstage.
Exactly.
Between the matches they had this week, they didn't have any bad matches. And Oba and the Grayson Waller effect was really good. I'm going to give this an A. I thought this was an A. I mean, it's not an A plus, but I thought this was a solid A show. There was nothing bad about this, and I thought it was head and shoulders better than Raw.
it's crazy because, like you said, when discussing a grade, it's like, was there anything egregious on the show? Definitely not. Were the matches great? Heck yeah. I guess because there was no importance to it. It was just a great, like, it was just a great show. Like, hey, Tuesday, nothing to watch. NXT, yes please, and it delivered. It definitely delivered. But there, I guess, like, because there's no importance to it, I'm not putting a lot of stank on it like I did on Raw. You know what I'm saying? Even though they did have a match or two more, which was great. So it's like, it really is like, it wasn't but wasn't better than Raw. That's the thing. It wasn't but wasn't better than Raw.
So you're giving them both an A minus. You're gonna give them both an A minus.
Right now, they're both getting A. We'll just keep it there. Right now, they're both getting A.
All right. So we both have NXT at an A. You have Raw at an A, and I had NXT at a B. So our third and final show, Miss Anika will lead us through this one, is AEW Dynamite from the next night. Yeah. Take it away, Miss Anika.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, AEW from past Wednesday. This was a week. There is no, and I say that to say because last week was Final Carnage. Collision was Homecoming. So this is a decent week. We are building up to Grand Slam Australia. I'm glad I remember it said Grand Slam. I keep saying Australia. What's it called? Oh, Grand Slam. But we are building towards that. But we are I'm just start. So, building off of last week, officially Ospreay and Omega becoming a team. We're against the Don Callis family. We're having Ospreay versus Brian Cage. We're going to say it till the cows come home. Brian Cage out of the ring. Bland in the ring. He's Brian freaking Cage. And Ospreay is Ospreay. There's nothing else to say. Him in his green and feathered white gold awesomeness. I'm like, yes, this is my Ospreay. Never change. I know you want to change, but let's all agree that green is your color and just keep it that way. Great match. Only one for the Don Callis family out there for Brian Cage was Lance Archer, but there was no interference until the final little bit where Lance got on the ring apron, and it is what it is. Brian Cage actually bumped into Lance Archer, and Ospreay hits the Styles Clash. 1, 2, 3, Ospreay for the win. Side note, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this. You using all of AJ Styles' moves. Now, Cody has his own little rule of stealing stuff, but in the grand scheme of wrestlers, you either have to retire or give a move to a person. AJ is not retired, so it really does throw me through a loop when Ospreay does his move, and then let alone you win with a Styles Clash. Like it's not even a transitional move. You actually win with a Styles Clash. So further note, AJ, if you are listening to this, I do think you should end your career at AEW. Cause I do want to see you versus Ospreay. All right, side note, back to business as usual. It's just like, sir, you just use my move. But yeah, this was a great match. Unfortunately, so I forgot this little tidbit. Before the match started, Don Callis family beats up Omega, old punks. That's why Omega was not with Ospreay for backup. But as soon as the match was over and the Don Callis family starts jumping him, Omega comes with a chair. This was kind of, what's the word? You can see where they set up spots just a little bit because Omega comes with a chair. He hits Lance Archer. Brian Cage is standing there. I'm like, sir, I know he has a chair, but I need you to take the chair from him. Do something. You just standing there while your boy's getting beat, and then when Omega turns, he just basically throws the chair at your head. I'm like, sir, if you were doing something, you wouldn't get hit by the chair. So, but all in all, Ospreay and Omega are standing tall, but here comes Fletcher and Takeshita, and they just go to town. Dual tombstones. Not sure, Don Cal. Not saying they're a tag team, but continuity in the family. And Don Cal's family stands tall, which is we got one more. Correct me if I'm wrong. We got one more week until Australia Grand Slam. So I am not mad that it's tit for tat on which team stand tall during the week. It was kind of awkward of how long this beatdown was, because they stand tall and they stand tall and they stand tall. Then Ospreay kind of claws at the leg, and then they kind of kick him a little bit. There's no music playing. There's no refs coming down to stop this. They're just standing tall. They're just standing tall, and then there's a little bit of a claw. And Omega's still clawing. They start stumping him a little bit, and then that's when Ospreay drapes his body over Omega, and it's like, did y'all know? Did y'all have a time limit that y'all didn't reach? That's what it felt like. It's like you're like, hey, we got 2 more minutes in the ring. Let's do something else. So the residualness of the end of the match, it went off a little bit too long, but all in all, this was a decent segment. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, it was a solid match, and ultimately, um, I want to see Omega versus Styles too. You stole my thunder a little bit with that, because I was going to talk about that for a minute.
Sorry.
About it's not your fault. No, I mean, it is what it is.
Please.
No. I was just going to say that I don't care if people use each other's moves. I don't care if they're alive, dead, still wrestling, any of that, and be given the permission, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a wrestling move. It is what it is. But it can't be lost on anybody that a lot of Ospreay's offense looks like AJ Styles' moves. So he does the Styles Clash, he does basically the phenomenal forearm, and I think it's all in homage to AJ Styles. I would venture to guess that Will Ospreay is a huge AJ Styles fan, and that's probably why he does it. That being said, I do want to see that match. I don't think we're ever going to see it, but I want to see it. And to be fair, at this point, I don't even know. It's been so long since I've seen AJ in what I would call a big match like that. I don't even know what he technically has left at this moment. And I'm not necessarily meaning athletic wise. I mean almost even heart wise to a certain extent. I mean, it feels like he's kind of almost decided that maybe he's at the end of his career. I mean, that's just kind of how it feels. Which is fine. I mean, to each their own. I mean, obviously, as an AJ Styles fan, and him being extremely talented, I would love to see him get the Bryan Danielson send-off type of treatment. I don't know that he's healthy enough. I have no idea. I know that he's been injured. I know that he's come back and been injured again. I'm not exactly sure what his health status is at the moment. But yeah, no, I mean, seeing Will do all those moves definitely makes you think of AJ, and it makes you, it makes me want that match. No, yeah, the beatdown was very uncomfortable at the end, because you're right. I mean, it felt like, did you guys? I mean, where was the scripting on this? Like, it felt like it ended very weird. Like, the storyline wasn't totally scripted out or something, and they didn't know exactly where to end or what to do. So, the Don Callis family getting the advantage on Omega and Ospreay, it makes sense. There's 4-on-2 or 5-on-2 if you include Callis. That being said, if you're going to have a beatdown angle like that, the only thing I kept thinking is, really, for the next 10 minutes or for the last 10 minutes, no one's going to come out and help either Kenny or Ospreay. Like, nobody? Like nobody? Like, okay. I guess it is what it is. So, yeah, no, that went a little long. But, the match itself was solid and a good way to open the show.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have a backstage segment with Renee Paquette trying to get a word with first Strickland, and then we see a very, not gonna say frustrated, but a very anxious. There we go. Anxious Hangman Page going into Swerve Strickland's dressing room. He wasn't in there, so Renee is just, she's kind of like, okay, so since Swerve's not in there because you just came out. And she's kind of following Hangman. And Hangman's just like, he's on a mission to find Swerve. But could it? He bumps into MJF once again, and it's in a stare down. But Heyman got something to do, and then MJF was like, "What is his problem, sir?" And like in classic MJF form, and so Renee was like, "All right, so since Swerve's out of his dressing room, Heyman's leaving. MJF, how do you feel about the match with Jeff Jarrett and Claudio Castagnoli?" And basically he said the same thing he said last week, where he's just like, he's going to understand the difference between making a deal with the devil and going against him, and makes the stupid smile, and that's that. Listen, there's a whole lot in this segment with just Hangman going into Swerve's dressing room. It's like, sir, you were having serious beef with this man. Well, you drugged him. You burned his house down. He crashed into your house. He almost kills baby with his shirt. Like, just like, and that's why good rivalries and good backstory matters, because just him going into Swerve's dressing room is so much energy of why it's so much. So hopefully they don't drop that, because don't know what they're doing don't know what's coming next for everybody, but for Hangman, it's so many things you could do, and him just going into Swerve's dressing room was so tantalizing. I'm not sure how to miss. I'm so excited. I'll say that. I'm so excited. And then with MJF and Hangman, I know where I want this story to go. Where, like, right now, Hangman's on the ledge of emotional damage, basically. Like, basically, your emotions are not checked, sir, and you need someone to check them. And it feels like before anyone could, MJF is going to manipulate Hangman. If that's the story, please give that to me. I want that for my life. So this whole thing got me very much excited for the future. Now, and then like, the Jeff Jarrett stuff, no offense, I don't care. That's on me. I don't care. But just that whole segment of Heyman going to Swerve's dressing room and then him bumping into MJF. I want all of that. All of that, please. All right, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about MJF and Jeff Jarrett.
Sorry, we don't.
MJF and Hangman. I mean, I'm definitely here for however that plays out.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like, it wouldn't surprise me to see MJF try and or successfully manipulate Hangman in some way, shape, or form. That being said, when Hangman was going to Swerve's locker room or dressing room, I thought to myself, we're still doing this? Like, I mean, I don't know what we're doing. We still don't know what the purpose was. What the purpose was. But I don't need this feud any longer. Like, we've had this feud. You guys have done everything you possibly can to each other. I don't need to see anymore. Now, if for some reason in Hangman's delusional mind, because they've been through this and iron sharpens iron, and now he has some respect for Swerve and he's going to go try to talk to him as like a friend or a peer and ask for help or something, and they're going to do something like, maybe I'm here for that. I'll have to see how it plays out. But Swerve and Hangman have been around each other enough for the last 2 years. 3 years. I don't need to see any more of that feud. If they want to take it in a different way and it makes it interesting, that I might be here for. But them continuing a feud potentially, which is kind of how it looked like when Hangman was going in there, that I'm not really here for. Not that they haven't had good matches and not that it wasn't amazing, but we've done that already. Like, there's so much for both of them to do beyond that I don't need to see any more of that.
So I'm gonna say, I don't like to pontificate, but this is what I think, because like, it's so many times a storyline got ruined, not because it wasn't bad, because people online made a better storyline. Like, case in point, Roman versus Jey Uso SummerSlam. I was mad because it was so many good options you could have taken from fans. If you like, hey, y'all don't listen to us. Y'all listen to podcasts. If you hear a better idea than yours, use it. So it's like, so in that aspect, I don't like to pontificate on what could happen, because it doesn't happen. It pisses me off. But this is what I think is going to happen. Like I said, so last week with Hangman and Christopher Daniels, right? That threw Heyman through a loop. Like, oh crap, my actions basically retired my best friend's career. I think he's going to Heyman to exercise his demons. And whatever that looks like, where he's just like basically again, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but in my mind, it plays out to why are you like this? Why did you make me like this? Have you ever been you are a crazy SOB? So I'm pretty sure you've been to the place where I'm at. Did you? And but right now, even though you're dangerous, you do have a grasp on your emotions. So it's like basically in my mind, when you went over the edge the first time, how did you get back? How did you get back on the ledge? I feel like that's the conversation he was trying to get. That's the conversation that Heyman wants from Swerve. Like, listen, I don't like you, but right now my emotions are all over the place, and I need to get control over them. When you went over your crazy ledge. How did that happen? Like, how did you come back? I feel like that's why he was going to Swerve. Now, how that play out, I'm not sure, but that's what I want from this. Where I want Hangman to try to exercise his demon from Swerve. And in so many ways you can play this, where Swerve's like, I don't give a crap about exercising your dang demons, and he'll give you no answers, and that's why MJF starts manipulating him. So like that's why I'm saying like this whole thing is exciting if you do it that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not opposed to that in theory. I mean, have to see how it ultimately plays out. I mean, but I'm not opposed to that in theory. I mean, I think it's a little odd. I mean, I guess, if Hangman's, somewhat coming out of his delusional heel run and he's starting
Your
to
haze.
become his babyface self again, and now he has to make amends and he wants to make amends with Swerve. I guess that's something.
No, man. We still hate this fool. We're trying to use
not amends, not amends
yeah.
in that, not in that regard, but just I, even though we hated each other, I probably took it a little too far. We both took it a little too far. I know that you were struggling. I was struggling. How did you get out of it? Like you said, basically, some sort of a therapy session. Even that said, I still don't know that. I mean, again, if it's done right, I mean, I'll commented on it at the time if that's what they do. But in my head, I'm not sure that I need a Hangman Swerve therapy session. Like, I don't know that that's something that necessarily moves the needle.
And so when I say therapy, therapy session is like the closest thing to say it. But
sure.
In this rivalry, I don't want them to not have beef no more. I want the beef to keep running. I don't want this to end, right? Like when it comes to Rock and Austin, they always had beef, but it was just those little pockets of this fool the bigger douche. Let's deal with him, then we'll get back to our beef. I want that for Heyman and Swerve. Like this, in this moment, let's put a pin in our beef. Handle them, and we'll depend out when we need to. Yeah. That was it. Oh, I'm in charge. Dang it. Okay. Next, we have a little mini video package of Will Hobbs in Homecoming. Him and Big Bill was basically beating each other behind to the parking lot, to the crowd, like every bit of it. And Will Hobbs is like, I am not done. I'm still coming for you. Yes, please. Like I do love Will Hobbs versus Big Bill. Don't give me Jericho. Just keep egging Big Bill along, but just give me Will Hobbs and Big Bill, and I'm a happy girl. Anything you want to say about this?
Not really, other than the fact that I'm just happy that both these guys are getting a nod. I mean, I think Big Bill's been underrated for a long time. I always thought that him and Enzo were very fun. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I like Big Cass, and I like Big Bill. I think he's got, for all intents and purposes, I think he's got all the tools. I think he's a good talker. I think he's a good wrestler. He's got the look. He's got all those things. So, yeah, and Powerhouse Hobbs. A lot of times, the big men don't necessarily get the same kind of shake and opportunity as some of the other more athletic wrestlers get, especially maybe in the AEW sphere. So it's nice to see Hobbs, still getting that, and I'm happy to see him back and getting pushed. So, I'm here for it.
Most definitely. All right, and then we have our matchup: Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio. If Jeff Jarrett wins, he faces Moxley. Not sure where were they here? They were basically there. Well, no offense, they were at some place that they didn't care about this match, and rightfully so. Because no offense, who cares about Jeff Jarrett trying to beat Moxley? No offense, this is not the Cena retirement tour, and not treated as such because he made a decent promo in the Owen Hart Cup. That's what it feels like. Like we rolled the Owen Hart Cup promo you wrote it too long. The wheels have fallen off and they're on the flow. So let's pick the car up in the put it back in the freaking garage and end this. All right, so if I can say, this was a back and forth, and it's kind of weird to say that because even though Jeff Jarrett is a legend and he's a champion in his own company, Claudio is that dude. So this should not have been, for me, a back and forth. This should have been maybe more so of a squash match. But this is the same company who made this is the same company who thought that Jay White needed a bat to beat Billy Gunn. So this is not out of the norm for this company. Anyway, like I said, they went back and forth. Nicely, if we're going to do this, at least have some, some strategy. And Jeff Jarrett did go for Claudio's legs. That did go into some of Claudio's offense. When it felt like Jeff Jarrett was actually going to do this, what's his name? Willer Yuta got on the ring apron and started distracting people. And that's when Jon Moxley came in for the I call it it's still called a paradigm shift, or is it called something else?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Jon Moxley's finisher. Is it still called the paradigm shift or something else?
I think it's called the Death Rider.
The Death Rider, yeah. Basically, his version of DDT. He did his version of DDT, and him and Arena slips out and onto into the crowd. Claudio looks at Moxley like, "Oh snap! Why did you do that?" And he gives him two of his finishers. I ain't gonna act like I know what the end of this finisher is. And basically, Claudio wins. Now, like I said, this is already dumb that Jeff Jarrett is going for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's more dumb when it takes 3 people to beat Jeff Jarrett. Now, in my mind, right, I can't take it like this, where in my mind, Moxley's that dude where he's like, I'm tired of playing with this fool. Like, I'm not even sure why we're playing with this man and why we're giving him a shot. Let me just go in, DDT him, and just finish this. I would love if that was the mindset of Jon Moxley, but I don't know. I don't know until you ask him. So as of right now, it just feels like you needed 3 people to beat up Jeff Jarrett, and that's not a good look. It's not for more so Claudio. It's like, ugh. So, but all in all, Jeff Jarrett is not getting a title shot, and I am happy about that. But yeah, the ending it leaves less to be desired. Anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this is a perfect example of why Jeff Jarrett shouldn't be wrestling anymore. I thought this match was terrible, honestly, and that's saying a lot because Claudio's a great wrestler. I mean, I thought Claudio did the best he could. I thought there were several noticeable botches when Jeff tried to put on the figure 4. It looked clunky. Later, when Jeff tried to, Claudio had him in the sharpshooter, and Jeff hit some sort of weird counter that didn't look clunky and looked like a botch. I don't even know what it was called. What he did there exactly. And then, yeah, to have essentially what it looks like, Wheeler Yuta involved and Claudio, and then Moxley hitting his finisher to take out Jeff Jarrett, makes Jeff Jarrett look very strong, which I don't like at all. I'm glad he got the loss. I mean, I'm glad he took the loss. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the last we'll see of Jeff Jarrett, probably. I imagine he'll continue to be a pain in the ass and a thorn in my side. I kind of hope that this would be the end of it. He's not getting his match with Moxley, and maybe he would go away, but I doubt that's the situation. And yeah, Claudio being that dude, he should be beating Jeff Jarrett from pillar to post easily. I mean, it should have been an easy win in my opinion. I mean, I understand that when you look at their numbers age wise, that Claudio's probably not that far off of Jeff Jarrett. Claudio's probably in his mid 40s and Jeff is in his late 40s, early 50s. So year wise, but Jeff Jarrett has been out of wrestling. It feels like for a long time, in which Claudio's been there in his prime. So it feels like there's no way that Jeff should be competing, and I don't, and just from a selfish standpoint, I don't want Jeff Jarrett to be competing. So,
Yes.
again, I'm glad he took a loss. I'm glad that he got beat up, but it still does make him look way too strong. So, Tony, for whatever reason, and I get it. To, Tony is a wrestling fan that has a wrestling company. And as a result of that, he wants to do the things that he wants to do with the guys that he is a fan of. And Jeff Jarrett is clearly one of those guys. So, I don't understand how Jeff Jarrett can be anybody, how anyone can be a fan of Jeff Jarrett. But that being said, that's clearly what's going on here, as he's done in the past with other guys. He's nostalgic about stuff. And so, it is what it is. It's unfortunate that we still have to see Jeff Jarrett, but at least he takes a loss and gets beat down by the Death Riders. So.
All right. Then after the match, again, I'm not sure what's going on with the production of this, but it felt like it was a long behind pause. And then MJF's music hit. And my mind, like, no, after this, maybe 10 seconds, it did hit. Like those little details. I'm like, no, hit that music fast. Ain't nobody trying to see Jeff Jarrett behind the ring. But MJF music does hit. He goes to the ring. He hits Jeff Jarrett the diamond ring. And he was like, hey, I respect my elders, so I won't say I told you so. Point blank, period. I'm not mad at that at all, right? Is this the end of their feud? That would be unfortunate because I feel like the beginning of this feud, MJF was on board because he does, like you said, he's a fan of wrestling history. So I think he was on board with being a carny, the carny foolishness of Jeff Jarrett. But that one segment didn't go as planned, and it feels like they're maybe jumping off this boat. And that is kind of unfortunate because I was, like you said, before when it started, it was like, all right, this would be a cool thing for y'all to do. Not a full-on program, just hit it and quit it at Australia and be done with it. But it does feel like if we're not getting Jeff Jarrett versus MJF either, that is kind of unfortunate too. I'm not saying I will miss it, but that would be unfortunate. But your thoughts on the ending?
Well, here's the unfortunate part about it for me is just that it feels like another story that you don't end up finishing, right? Or another bow left untied. I mean, I don't necessarily need to see the match, but since you've already done all this, now you kind of have to have the match. I mean, to a certain extent. So, it seems very weird for it to just end here. I would have preferred that they never were in each other's, orbits at all, and that Jeff Jarrett wasn't on TV at all. But if you're gonna go through all these hoops and have them face off and talk shit and all those things, and you got to at least have a match to pay it off in the end, at least one. I mean, So I'm assuming we'll still get to that, but maybe not. I mean, who knows? We'll have to see. If this is the end of it, that's weird.
It is. Like I said, we don't know, but it kind of did feel that way. Alrighty, here we go. What was next? All right, yeah. So after that, we're getting Ricochet versus AR Fox. A little pre-interview before the match. Renee Paquette is interviewing Ricochet. Ricochet's like, I'm being bullied because why is this happening a week before one of the biggest matches of my life and get swerved? He's like, you know what? I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to win this match. And him being a heel. So Pretty Ricky, we're still finding his character of being a heel. Him with the scissors was crazy, right? But it feels like, unfortunately, you can't stab everyone every week. So it's like, what do we do in the meantime, between time? Now, I was a fan of him being a trolling little piece of crap, like after the Hurt Business hemmed him up and him going back and forth with Swerve, calling each other their government names. So I'm not sure if we can get back to that or not. But like we do have to tweak it a little bit of Ricky being a heel. All in all, we go back to the match. It is AR Fox versus Pretty Ricky, Lucha Underground rematch. If you love Lucha Underground, please come watch along. We are watching that every Tuesday when life don't be life and cook out. This was a decent match. Of course Ricochet got the win. I love AR Fox, man. So it really is like, listen. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're doing the whole thing. I love when he was paired with Swerve 2023 before Wembley, right? And then unfortunately he couldn't get on the plane. I feel like he's paying a hefty price for that. I feel like there are other wrestlers who have done way worse who didn't get punished this badly. I'm like, there is a place on this show for AR Fox, and I hope you find it. Like right now, Swerve is an island to himself. When he needs backup, AR Fox is right there. At least do that, right? But as of right now, I get why you can't beat Pretty Ricky. That being said, like I said, Pretty Ricky wins the match. It was a good match. He tries to he's beating up AR Fox. He goes for the scissors, but someone drags him out of the ring, and it's Swerve. Now, suffice it to say, they told Swerve he couldn't come during the match. So he stayed back till the match was over. He beats the brakes off of Pretty Ricky with his chain. Pretty Ricky goes into the ring. Swerve is about to do the Swerve stomp, but Pretty Ricky, being the punk that you are, he grabs AR Fox and uses the scissors to basically be a human shield for him before Swerve does the stomp. Now, if we're doing Swerve the dangerous man on the planet, right? In my mind, I want him to say F it and just do the Swerve stomp on both of them. That's what I wanted to happen. Because, like, bro, but it didn't happen. You're being a good friend to the AR Fox, whatever. So, yeah. Ricky has AR Fox hummed up until he gets to the ramp. Then he leaves. There's a stare down. We're getting Swerve versus Pretty Ricky next week. That should be great. All in all, decent segment. Any thoughts?
I mean, these three have been orbiting each other. Last week, AR Fox took a loss to Swerve, and Ricochet was out there. It always throws me off when people call Ricochet Ricky because I keep thinking, who are they actually talking about? But, heel Ricochet is still, the jury's still out for me. I mean, I'm not sure that I feel like I'm not sure I'm all in yet because I'm not sure that it feels like he feels overly comfortable in that role yet, or that he's been able to necessarily hit his stride. Like you said, you can't stab everybody every weekend or every week. I think the scissors have already gotten slightly overplayed. And so I'm not sure exactly where he goes from here as far as heel Ricochet. But if in some way this is working to a triple threat between these three, that I'm not opposed to at all. And AR Fox, in my opinion, these are three phenomenal wrestlers. And in my opinion, out of these three, just in ring standpoint, AR Fox is better than both Ricochet and Swerve. So the fact that he doesn't get his fair due bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm here for this. Obviously, Lucha Underground, reunion these three. And anytime these three are working together, it seems to be gold. So I'm here for it. I just hope they give AR Fox more of a. I don't want him to be a third wheel. I want him to actually be a third person and not a third wheel in this story.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
yes, wholeheartedly. And so, side note, I'll say this. So as Ricochet was going up the ramp, you see Nana looking behind Swerve. Do you think Nana is going to? I don't want Nana and Swerve to break up. So that's what they're looking at, and Nana goes to Pretty Ricky. Don't do that, please. I'm just saying that. I saw that. I'm like, please tell me I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. Please don't break up Swerve and Nana and Prince Nana. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see them split up either. I mean, Swerve definitely doesn't need anybody to talk for him, but I think that Nana works great as a hype man for Swerve, and I really like that. I mean, I'm afraid that if they split up, then what does Nana do? And I don't know that I want to see him with Ricochet.
I don't
per se. I mean, Ricochet needs a mouthpiece, but I don't know that that's how I want it to come. I don't know that that's who I want the mouthpiece to be, and I'm not sure that that's how I want it to happen. And I like Nana and Swerve together, so I don't necessarily want that to happen. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to think of who they could get to have Ricochet or to help Ricochet that isn't Nana.
Bruh, where is Stokely, bruh?
Where's
Is he
Stokely? Yeah, we
hurt?
haven't
Is he
seen
on
Stokely in a long
punishment?
time. Yeah, and honestly, I think that they kind of missed the boat, and maybe we'll ultimately get there. But I think if you have a heel Ricochet, it doesn't make any sense for him to not be with the Hurt Syndicate. It just doesn't, and let
Yeah.
MVP be the mouthpiece. If you're going to keep him a face, and you're going to have face Ricochet fighting the Hurt Syndicate, then that's one thing. If you're going to have heel Ricochet, it doesn't make any sense for him to not join the Hurt Syndicate and just let MVP do the talking for him.
Well,
So
we'll talk about it more later. But it feels like her syndicate are turning into baby faces. So like right now, they're towing that line of do we stay heel or do we just be dominant? Just be us and let the fans cheer us, and we don't go against baby faces. Like sometimes they're like, how do you turn baby face? You just don't go against other baby faces, and you just let the people cheer you. So I think they're still trying to determine if they're going to be that, but we'll talk about that later. Um, Next, we have a Jericho minute. We're talking about collision, and Big Bill's like, "Thank you, Jericho. You made me strive for better, and I think I accomplished that." And Jericho's like, "No, you didn't. Did you beat Will Hobbs? No, you didn't do that. So no, you did not strive for better. Little cracks in the feeling. I love all of that. Um, and so more so, dang it, because what's his name? Brian Keith said something in here dumb, and I forgot what he said. I don't want to. I don't want to overlook it. Do you remember what he said? Jericho's hyping another match. I think it's gonna be him versus Brian Keith doing something, and he shouted out something hilarious. Dang it!
let's see. I don't remember, but Jericho and Brian Keith are going to take on the Outrunners. Jericho has never seen them on TV. The youngest.
Thank you. So Jericho said that he never saw the Outruns on TV, and then Brian Keith says that's a Mandela effect. I'm like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's called the Mandela Effect. That's right.
stop shouting stuff that's stupid. And then that was the end of the Jericho minute. He smiles, the smile fades. I am here for Big Bill being released from the Jericho Vortex. I'm here for Brian Keith being released from the Jericho Vortex. But it feels like we have to choose, and they're choosing Big Bill. Choose both. But if we're going to have to choose, yes, we'll take one at a time. We'll take Big Bill leaving first. But don't let it be a long behind feud. Do a match and let it be over. Don't let it be a 3 months. I'm going to punish you for leaving me, whatever. But yeah, this was a Jericho minute. It did what it did. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for both Brian Keith and Big Bill getting away from Chris Jericho. I don't necessarily want them, especially Big Bill, to be in some sort of feud with Jericho for ever. The goal would be to get away from the Jericho vortex. I'm. It shouldn't be a choice between Big Bill and Brian Keith because they're both extremely talented and both should be given pushes. That being said, they've definitely shown more of Big Bill, and I think that the sentiment is that he's kind of the guy, and which is unfair to Brian Keith because even though I'm a huge Big Bill fan, I think Brian Keith is extremely slept on. And I think that he has tons of potential, and I don't think we've even started to scratch the surface of any of that. So, you know, if at the moment they're looking at those two and they're saying, "Oh, we're going to go with Big Bill," I think that's a disservice to Brian Keith. Nothing against Big Bill; they both deserve it. So,
Yes.
I do get concerned that both Big Bill and Brian Keith fall through the cracks if they leave the Jericho vortex. Not because I think that they're actually benefiting from. The only thing they're benefiting from Jericho is that Tony Khan loves Chris Jericho and keeps him on TV. So
Exactly.
so anyone that is with Jericho by default is going to be on TV, which has been great for both Bill and Brian. And I'm afraid that if they go away, that they don't get those spots anymore. Hopefully Big Bill has got himself over enough that maybe he continues to. I don't know that they've allowed Brian Keith to get over enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
you know, they let him have these cute little moments, kind of, the Ron Simmons damn moments. I mean, it's a little bit different because he's got the little, but it's that same kind of feel.
It is the same kind of feel. Yeah, it is.
But he's had all of like 4 or 5 matches, I think, in the 4 months they've been the learning tree. I mean, most of them on Collision or Rampage before it went off the air. So he definitely hasn't been getting the same kind of push that Big Bill has, being part of the learning tree, which is a little disappointing. But yeah, I mean, I'm here for them to break up. I just don't want Big Bill and Brian Keith to get lost.
Most definitely. And then now we have our next match. We have Wheeler Yuta versus Jay White. I'm not mad at this, right? This makes sense. And it's on Dynamite. Perfect sense. I love this. And Yuta is getting in his bag of being a heel. And it was one time where he was working Jay White's leg, and the crowd was trying to hype up Jay White, and so Yuta started, hype him up, and then he just hits the leg, and it's like, I love you and I hate it at the same time. So I love that Will Yuta's coming into his own. But it is Jay White, right? So you're not going to beat Jay White, and out of nowhere, Blade Runner hits 1, 2, 3. Jay White for the win. I can't fault this city, because they didn't have a lot of stuff to get hyped for this Dynamite, right? But this was I did want them to get hyped for this match, because this was a good match. It's just like, can y'all please get it? It does hurt the match if the crowd is into it. So it was like, please, come on, get it. This actually is a good match. There was someone into it, but I wanted to be more into it. But like I said, Jay White wins, and here comes the writers, and they attack Jay White. They put in boost to face again. Feels like a very, very prolonged beatdown. But then here comes you think you know him. Pow, 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 pow. Here comes Adam Copeland and ready FTR for the save. I do love, it's like, okay, this makes sense because they did get the behind beat. So it shouldn't be like, oh, we just got back. So I do appreciate that it took a week or so for them to recuperate. They ran them off. They beat them a little bit, then they ran them off, and then Adam Copeland got on the mic. Oh, y'all want to run when it's not a numbers disadvantage, and then FTR gets on the mic and it's like, look, we actually don't hate you. Like, I think he said, that's what he said. We actually respect how you work. We just don't like that you're targeting our friends. So you know what? How about you and us? And they set up what you call it? It's some kind of match on Collision, a house fight match, or what? It's like a good old fashioned
Mid-South street fight.
Whatever the freak that is. Like, no offense. I was watching YouTube, and they're like, the worst match stipulations, and one person said TLC, and they're like, huh? And it's like, no. TLC is fine, but they keep renaming TLC to the point where it's just like, just call it just call it no disqualification match. Like, just call it no DQ. Don't call it a second city street fight, or parking lot brawl, or a Christmas 130. Like, stop giving it different names. Just call it a no disqualification match. So, like honestly, by you renaming it, what's the difference? There is no difference. So on Collision, we're going to get Wheeler Yuta and Moxley versus FTR in this match. Wish it was Claudio, but give Yuta some time, so that's fine. What do you think about this post-match angle?
The post-match angle I thought was okay. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, I understand why they're in almost every segment, but the Death Riders are in almost every segment, and to a certain extent, it is getting a little old. I mean, it's basically the same thing every single segment. So, in that regard, I mean, I don't want to say that it's the well's running dry, but it could run dry soon. That being said, I'm happy to see the development of Wheeler Yuta. I always liked Wheeler. I know a lot of people were really down on him when he first came in and all those things. I really like him, and I do think that his heel turn has shown that he does have the ability to do both.
Mm-hmm.
And his wrestling has grown leaps and bounds. I think, I don't know if that's just simply, being in the ring with Claudio Pack and Moxley all the time, or what
Yeah.
it is. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, he's come a long way and developed great. And I'm a huge Wheeler Yuta fan. Glad he didn't beat Jay White. He shouldn't be beating Jay White.
Yes.
There's no
Yes.
way around that. Jay White. I understand that Jay White is kind of indirectly involved with Moxley, and that's the main event guy, and that they're the main event faction. And so, to a certain extent, I guess you can kind of interpret that as being in the main event picture, but it's not enough for me. Jay White is one of your best wrestlers, on your roster, and he should be more involved in the bigger things that are going on. Maybe we're getting there ultimately, but yeah, I mean, other than that, and other than the Death Riders doing the same thing over and over and over again, it was fine.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, Adam Copeland is not spicing things up for me in this scenario. No offense, but I do like
I know what else I wanted to say. No
Yeah.
disrespect to FTR. No one knows who the fuck you're talking about, with all due respect. I mean, we do. We know you can't say, I like you guys, I respect what you do, but I'm pissed because you beat up Ricky Morton, my hero. No disrespect to Ricky Morton. No one fucking knows who the fuck Ricky Morton is. I mean, yes, if you're a diehard wrestling fan and you've been alive for 100 years and you're the, whatever, you like to, sure, you know who he is. And then the guy that they mentioned that was in the crowd who was there that night, it's like, dude, nobody knows who these guys are. You got to stop doing those references that people really don't. I mean, it's, okay.
Yeah. No. Just say the Midnight Express. Like, stop acting like, yeah. I totally agree with you. All right, and so next up we have a recap. We'll have the collision. A lot of stuff will say, and I'll say it right here. It feels like they stacked collision so much. Y'all could have put one of those things you did a collision on this show, like either Will Hobbs versus Big Bill and this fight all over each other, or what I'm about to say come up. Like one of those things you could have had on here, and it would have hyped up this show a little bit more. Case in point, they showed a recap of Collision, and they had a recap of the first time Tony Time faces off against Mariah May. Mariah May still thinks that the girl has lost her marbles, so she was basically running her down, and Tony was like, but I admire you. I admire everything about you. She tries, she hugs her. And then Mariah May beats the crap out of her. She takes the belt and starts beating her back. Bruh, I'm not sure how you do that without actually hurting the girl. And then Mariah May leaves the ring. And Tony says, where are you going, Mariah? Our story is not quite finished. They say that the most hardest role to play is of yourself. Well, I just gave you a performance of a lifetime. So she takes off the Tony Time rock and roll gear. She's in her timeless Tony Storm bag, which is her basically in a 1950s feel of a briefs and a bra. And she was like, I have to say, so she was like, she's like, so you think that you came from hell, but you came from my room. And coming Grand Slam Australia, I'm going to shove you back up there and spit you out. And he's like, come Australia, I'm going to rip your tits off. And so, timeless Tony Storm is back. One of the greatest characters AEW has ever created, Tony Time. And that leads up to a on the ramp segment with Renee Paquette and Mariah May. Renee says to Mariah, on Collision, you seem a little shaken when Tony Storm has revealed that she remembers everything, and she kind of, I guess, lulled yourself into a false sense of security. I hate when people bring stuff up to bring me down. I'll say it afterwards. But Mariah May was like, you know what? No, I wasn't frazzled. No, I wasn't frazzled. I am perfectly fine. And so he takes the mic from Renee, and she says, you can go now. You can go. And so she looks down the barrel of the lens, talking to Tony Storm, and she was like, Like, so you remember, congratulations. I am still basically Mariah May. I am still the person from hell, and I will beat you at Grand Slam Australia. This was fine for a segment. I hate style wrestling, wrestle talk. And Tempest was like, so we got the big reveal on Collision. And he was like, what do we gain from it though? And it's like, well, she lulled Tony into a false sense of security, but she also got her behind whooped. But now, now Tony, she got the match, but she got it before. It's like, shut up. We don't need logic in this story. We just need big moments. We don't need logic of why she came back in the time of her. So that made me mad. Although it made me mad when people make sense. Y'all could have done the reveal maybe better, where it's like maybe like false sense of, instead of Tony Storm getting beat up, she beats up Mariah May because you're finally close enough to get your hands on her. I don't know, but either way, we are timeless. Tony Storm is back, and it is better than rocking Tony Time, in my opinion. Mariah May really didn't say anything to further the story along, but hey, one more week to rehype up this match. Your thoughts on all of this?
I was extremely excited at first for kind of the Mick Foley three sides of Tony Storm.
Yes.
I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't ultimately play out that way. That it was just kind of like this lull to get Mariah May feeling confident.
Yeah.
I mean, and I do agree that now that this has happened, I'm not as big on it as I was the way that it's played out. I don't think this was the best way to have it play out. And I also, I understand that you want to raise the profile of Collision, and that, to some regards, canceling Rampage does that, and I get it. At the same time, the reality is that really Dynamite is a show that people really watch, and you can't have everything just happen on Collision. You can't. Unfortunately, you can't just do that and then spring it on Dynamite and expect people to know what's going on. So there is some of that. Am I here for Mariah versus Tony Storm again? Sure. I thought they had a solid match before when Mariah took the title, so I'm here for that. And Timeless Tony Storm is my favorite Tony Storm iteration to date ever. So the fact that she's back, I'm glad for that. But I also think that if they were doing this, they should have done it better. They should have either stretched out the reveal longer. They shouldn't have had any kind of reveal. It should have actually been the real story, something like that. I mean, as opposed to just, I was playing with you. And because really, honestly, like, I understand what she's saying. It never came across that way with Mariah. Like, there wasn't enough interaction where after Tony Storm lost her matches where it would go to like Mariah May and she was like, see, I told you Tony Storm is dead or whatever. There was never any of that kind of feel. So it was never like, you never had this feeling that her being the old Tony Storm had any effect on Mariah one way or the other, and now she's back and it doesn't really have an effect one way or the other. It's still the same Tony Storm I wrestled before. So I think it kind of, the way that it played out kind of missed the boat. Which is, that's my comment on a lot of things. These things start great and things seem good, and then it all depends on how it ultimately plays out and ends. And this one, in my regard, and my opinion, didn't end very well as far as the reveal goes. So it is what it is.
Like, more so, like I said, if Tony got the advantage, like if she pulled out a white shoe and started beating the crap out of Mariah May, that would have been better. But yeah, you getting your behind whooped and then now you're revealing yourself. It's like, but you got your behind whooped. You should have revealed yourself. Like, you should have either did another week and then got close up to her again and beat the crap out of her or something like that. But yeah, you getting your behind whooped and then revealing yourself. It's like, we could have done this better. All right. So next up, we get a video. The Butt Boys are coming back. This was in the vacuum. The video was cool, where it just basically was like they're showing the the highlights of Austin and Colin. I want to say his name is Colin. Yeah. You know, them wrestling, their greatest attributes. I didn't know they got hurt like that. Cause I was asking what happened to them, but I know one of them got hurt. I didn't know both of them got hurt. But so yeah, but like they're showing that they're in the gym, they're working, they'll be back. Like I said, this was fine. In my, like I said, I think we said this a couple of times. We don't need your real life backstory. You can keep kayfabe alive a little bit. And I say that to say this. If y'all would have just came back to help Jay White, I would have loved that more than just watching you getting rehyped up for your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're getting back in the gym. Be ready for us. No, just come as a surprise and help Jay White be some ones behind, because I do miss the Bang Bang Gang. I did think that was a great team. I know Juice is hurt. I want them to get reunited. Right. I know Jay White doesn't need them, but it's all about aesthetics. Them as a group worked. So like I don't need y'all telling me who's coming back. Just come back and beat the crap out of somebody for Jay White, guns up, and that'll be a better thing. That's just me. But any thoughts on this promo?
I mean, when they left, I think they had come a long way. So, and I think that they were starting to really make kind of a spot for themselves. So in that regard, I'm glad that they're back. Yeah. I do think that they do need Jay White or someone. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they really, really struggled. And to be fair, they were really early in it, and it is what it is. But I think they really struggled before they became the Bang Bang Gang. And I think being with Juice and Jay White really helped them a lot, both in the ring as well as just the rub of being with them. If they come back on their own, I don't know that they're over like they were. I don't know that they have that same kind of whatever that they had before. And I do think that they also benefited from, the rub, the ultimate beginning with their dad and the rub and the feud with their dad. And I don't, the Acclaimed is doing whatever they're doing and Billy Gunn is doing whatever he's doing. I don't need to see that rekindled. So I don't necessarily know where they go. The tag team division, when Tony cares about it and puts effort into it, is so deep that they're probably middle to the bottom of the pack, even as talented as they are, just because there's so many great tag teams in AEW when you really put them down on paper. So, I don't know. I mean, yes, I 100% agree with you. If you're going to bring them back in real time, have them help Jay White, have them do something. Just watching them work out and say we're back, I don't care. They never, I like them, but they never really moved the needle for me before that to a certain extent. Right. And they don't necessarily move the needle for me now still. I mean, I know they're better than they were. And with Jay Wright, the Bang Bang Gang was a lot of fun, but beyond that, the two of them don't really move the needle all that much for me just alone. So.
I totally agree. Side note, what happened to Bandito? You did all these vignettes about him being in an old Western town and beating up people. Was he not ready to come back? I don't understand.
I have no idea. I always wonder when it comes to international stars if there isn't something to do with some sort of a problem with travel in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I think that less when it comes to Mexico because it's so close, and the reality is, what are the chances? But you never know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he got injured somehow. But yeah, I mean, they were definitely bringing him back. They had all this vignettes. I was like, yeah, bring him back. I'm happy. I mean, I love Bandito, but yeah, I'm not sure what's going on now. So hopefully he's not injured. Hopefully it's just a short and he's actually coming back soon. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And then we get another video of the Hurt Syndicate. Respectfully, they're taking a day off. They're taking a week off after winning the World Heavyweight Championships last week. You can tell that MVP feels bad for Private Party, because in this video, he was hyping them up to the gods. He was like, listen, they were a great tag team, but we had to take care of business, and we will tag team talent from them. So respectfully, we're taking a week off, but but next week we'll be back to business. And I'm like, you can tell he didn't want to. Like, you could tell if anyone else was a tag team, this would have been a different promo. You can tell he's like, I didn't want to do that to you. And like, I didn't want to do that to you, brother, but you had the belt, so ain't no time to wait for it. So I do kind of appreciate that. I would have loved that this was on TV. or not, sorry, in live. If this was live, this would have bumped up the show more. But but promo, okay, cool, straight. Anything you want to say about
Yeah,
this?
I mean, here's the thing. The thing is that I think that MVP is acutely aware of the underrepresentation as a whole in general of,
Yeah,
melanated people. And I'm sure that he can't be happy about the fact that, you know, their ascension or winning the titles is at the expense of another, black tag team.
yeah.
So I get that, and I can understand why he would want to try to help them up, hype them up, and try to preserve them a little bit. I think the best way to do that is to recruit them to the Hurt Syndicate, and I
Someone
think
needs
that
to
would
be
make
in
sense. I mean,
Hey, new blood needs to be in your team.
yeah, I think that makes sense. And as legitimate as Bobby Lashley is, and as legitimate as Shelton Benjamin is, MVP is not going to wrestle all the time. And two
Yeah.
people does not a faction make. It just doesn't. So you need more than just the two guys, right? Especially because Bobby Lashley really is a singles wrestler. So yeah, he can wrestle with MVP, in a tag team match, or he can wrestle with Shelton in a tag team match, but that's not really where his focus is ever going to be, or where it should be, right? I mean, he's a singles
Yeah.
wrestler, so, and that's what he wants to be. He wants to be a singles champion, I'm sure. So,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, belts are belts, and tag team champions, I'll take it in the meantime while I'm treading water to become AEW World Champion. But I mean, that's got to be his goal. So, no, I think Private Party should join the Hurt Syndicate. I think that's a good way for them to get a rub, be on TV more. I think that's probably what they need to actually try to get over. I see Private Party a lot like the Acclaimed, and personally, I like the Acclaimed a little bit better. That's just my own personal opinion.
Mhm.
I know that he's a piece of shit, but I really like Max Caster. I
Yeah.
think he's funny. I like him better than either Isaiah Cassidy or Mark Quinn. So neither of them, both of them feel like they're middle of the pack to bottom of the pack when it comes to AEW tag teams when you're putting them down on paper. So, yeah, and they're always going to be that way as long as you've got the Young Bucks, and you've got, FTR, and you've got, a lot of other tag teams there. So, that being said, it is what it is. I understand why MVP does this. He wants to keep Private Party up, as well as he should. I mean, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and it does better if they ultimately do join the Hurt Syndicate that he's upped them in the past, and it makes sense why he would want them. You're not going to come out, run them down, and then be like, "Hey, join our group. You're the worst tag team I've ever seen. I'm glad we beat you guys. You guys don't deserve me. But by the way, come join our group." Right? Like
Yeah.
that wouldn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that they're going to ask him, but if the idea at any point in time is to try to ask them, you don't want to bury them if you're MVP. So
Understood. Understood. And then we have a video package of Takeshita winning all over New Japan, because just in case you forgot, he is your international champion. Haven't defended that belt in a minute. So just in case you're wondering why Osprey and Omega is scared of this dude, let's talk about his matches in New Japan, because you're not giving any matches, solo matches, in freaking AEW. So yeah, this is why he's a big deal. Any thoughts?
yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that you're exactly right. Like you especially, but we talk about this a lot about how you put the belts on people and don't have anything you don't really have an idea after that, or a plan after that. And the reality is that Tony has said in the past, in my mind, all these belts are roughly equal, and which is a fine thing to say, but you don't present them all that way. And this belt, since he's got it, I think it's been defended once or twice, maybe. I mean, at the most. So, no, I mean,
Yeah.
these guys need to work more. I mean, all these guys that are champions need to defend the titles more. I mean, that's just the way. It just other than Moxley, who defends the title, it seems like every week. Other than that, they don't defend. And Okada had that belt for a long time and didn't really
He
defend
did
it too
something for
much.
Collision.
I mean, So no, I mean, it's weird. Again, I'm not privy to what's going on behind the curtains in AEW. I don't know how much of the booking and creative Tony does or doesn't do. I know he gets credit and blame for all of it. So the reality is that if you're trying to do the bulk of it yourself, Tony Khan, it's not working. And that's no disrespect to you. It's no disrespect to AEW. It just isn't working. You, as one person, are not able imaginatively to come up with enough storylines for people, or to be able to come up with another. There's only so much bandwidth you have and so many ideas and time that you're going to have. You need other people pitching ideas and looking out for other guys that aren't maybe on your radar all the time, so that you have a little bit more variety in what's going on a regular basis, and that some of these guys are booked better when they should be booked better.
Most definitely facts. And then we have a video of the, not sure what they call themselves, but basically it was what's her name? Parazzo. What's her name? Deanna Parazzo and there you go. Ty Valkyrie? There we go. Yeah. So no, I know their names. I'm like, what is their name? I know their last name is weird. Deanna Parazzo and Ty Valkyrie. Their team on Collision. See, like, y'all could have had like some of this stuff should have been on Dynamite. They had a 4-way to see who faces Monet for her TBS championship. They blame Harley Cameron for why they didn't get a shot. So they're like, Harley, now you belong to us while we watch this match behind stage. Sure. And I say that to say that. I say that to say this. Last week was so much happened last week, and one of those things was Harley confronting Monet to get a match on Australia. So it feels like I'm not sure I'm not sure why you're inserting Deanna and Ty into this scenario. Is what I'm thinking. It's like, why now? Now, if this is how Harley gets her first win, okay. But yeah, it really felt like left field of, hey, there we go. Hey, let's do this now. Any thoughts?
No, I thought this was really weird. I don't know how Deanna Peraza and Taya Valkyrie think that.
Why now? Yeah.
Well, that in any way, shape, or form that whatchamacall Harley Cameron's spot should have been Deanna Peraza's spot. That's a weird. Now, that being said, Deanna Peraza and Taya Valkyrie are two of the best women's wrestlers on the planet. So, in theory, Deanna deserves all the spots that she gets. So does Taya. And I like the name The Vendetta, but I didn't even know they were a thing. I didn't, I don't really.
It's all inclusion in Rampage.
So I didn't know they were a thing. And I guess it is what it is. I'm starting to like Harley Cameron a little bit, but I love Taya and Deanna, so the whole thing seems a little weird. But again, without watching Collision, I assume it should seem a little weird. So
exactly,
out of the loop, which is part of the problem, right? I mean, I understand that again, it's a me issue for not watching Collision to a certain extent. It's also an AEW Collision for not making the stories the two shows more coherently together. And you don't have a brand split. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you don't. The shows work together. The storylines run concurrent. Because you have them doing double duty on both shows. You'll get AEW or Dynamite stuff on Collision and Collision stuff on Dynamite when they determine it's a big enough match or big enough situation, i.e. this situation right here with Deanna and Taya for whatever reason. So, it's clearly not a brand split. So you've got to do a better job of telling us on Dynamite, for us to only watch Dynamite, what exactly is going on Collision and why we care, or why it makes sense and has an effect on what's going on Dynamite. So.
Right. It's it feels random. It feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But then we have our main event, surprisingly, of Mercedes Moné versus, if I say it wrong, correct me, Yuka Sakazaki.
That's right. Sakazaki, I think. Or, yeah, close enough.
Okay. So I just call Yuka. All right, yeah. So, again, we said it before on Collision. It was a 4-way. Yuka won the 4-way, and that's how we have this match right now. Great match. These two are great wrestlers, so it wasn't going to suck. It did take a minute because this crowd, and I'm not even blaming the crowd because, like I said, this show was, you didn't have anything to be overly excited about But that's unfortunate because these two were great workers. But they got them into it finally. And like I said, a couple of near falls, a couple of great finishes, a couple of great moves. But all in all, Mercedes Moné retains her title, and that was it. I was kind of again, it's like really, cause so one of the highlights of last week was Harley singing this song to Monet to get the shot. So you're like, okay, so maybe after the match, Harley comes out, something happens, but nothing happens. Mercedes Monet wins, and that's it. I'm not mad at it, but it is kind of like, huh? What are your thoughts on the match?
I complain a lot about interference and not having clean matches and all those things and everything that takes place after matches and all those kind of things. At the same time, like, just felt we're so conditioned now that the main event should feel big and should seem like it has extracurricular stuff, and this seemed to fall a little flat for a main event of a Dynamite. It was a solid match, but yeah, I expected either Camille or something to happen. Harley to come out. I don't know what's going on with Camille. I don't know if she's really injured, and that's why she's gone. But I keep expecting her to come out and actually attack Mercedes, or Harley to come out and do something. I mean, I think they needed a little something to boost this up a little bit more. Everyone loves Mercedes, and that's fine. People aren't really familiar with Yuka, unfortunately.
Yes.
Not enough to be invested enough that it's a main event match without something else to push that main event segment over the top. So that being said, Yuka's great and the match was really solid. I don't think it was a surprise that Mercedes won. I don't think anyone thought Yuka was going to actually win. But for those of us that don't have, either haven't ever seen her before or have only seen her a couple times, it's a great exposure. It's great to see her. I think she could be a very solid addition to the women's division. So I'm here for that. But yeah, overall, I thought this match summed up this episode of Dynamite overall, which was it was solid but not great. Nothing for a Dynamite. It felt flat for me. It felt down for me this week. So. And the main event I thought was a perfect example of that. I mean, even though I'm glad the women get the time, I'm glad Mercedes is getting that spot. We don't really know enough about Yuka that spot that they really deserve that spot at this moment. It felt like that should have been a middle of the match or middle of the show match as opposed to a main event match, especially if you weren't going to have something else happen afterwards to further whatever storylines you have going on with Mercedes Moné, i.e. Camille or Harley Cameron or something like that. So, for me this week, I thought, like I said, Dynamite was a little down. I'm going to give Dynamite. I mean, this is tough because for me, definitely my favorite show of the week was NXT. So, but I thought that Dynamite was better than Raw. I gave NXT an A. I gave Raw a B. I guess I'm going to give Dynamite probably an A minus, I think. I think it comes in just a hair below NXT this week and just a hair above Raw. Okay.
Yeah. Explain yourself, sir.
Raw's production is better than AEW. WWE's production all the way around is better than AEW. Their shows feel more spectacular. They have more. They feel like they're more impact, more lively. All those things. It feels like a bigger stage. But for me, AEW is still where wrestlers come to wrestle. And in that regard, until WWE can get its matches up and its match to meet what I think AEW is putting forward as matches, I'm going to have a real hard time ranking Raw equal or above Dynamite, even if sometimes the segments are better. Because even when Dynamite is down, it still feels on a wrestling level, just a wrestling level, always better to me than Raw does. So, Raw can really only, in my mind at this point, be beating AEW in promos and talking and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was okay. But again, when I've got Punk and Cody, and I know they're your two biggest stars, but for me personally, they're not my biggest stars or my favorite stars. So when those two are main eventing your show in a talking segment, I don't know, it leaves me a little dry. So that's why, even though Mercedes and Yuka probably shouldn't have been main eventing, at least we got a match as the main event as opposed to two guys talking. And I get that you're talking because you're trying to hype up the Rumble and ultimately your match at some point down the road. I'm assuming we're going to get, whatever. So Cody and Punk facing off at some point, but I don't know. I for me personally, it's always really going to boil down to the in-ring wrestling, and AEW just has the best in-ring wrestling.
So we definitely differ. Concerned, really, really, I get if you don't like Cody and Punk, but this week on Dynamite, you can tell that they emotional. Okay, I'll bring it down. You can tell that they emotionally tapped they put everything into last week's Carnage and last week's Collision, where they're like, you know what, this week we'll take a break. And with that, no, it is definitely not no freaking A. It's a C, sir. This was a C.
A C.
This was a C. This was a C. There was nothing rememberable about this Dynamite. If you're gonna go tell people about Dynamite, would you tell them to watch this week? No, you would not. You know you wouldn't. You go tell them.
I wouldn't, but I also wouldn't suggest people to watch Raw this week if they wanted to, find out what Raw is all about either. Like, I didn't necessarily think this was the best example of Raw either. So,
whatever. But yes, this was a C. Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio, boo. Brian Cage and Ospreay, it was all right, but it was like this was like it wasn't like a series. There was nothing like again memorable or furthering of the story. The most memorable thing was those 10 seconds of Heyman going into Swerve's room, and Swerve wasn't there, so we couldn't even know what was going to happen with that. So yes, for me it was a C.
All right, you've convinced me. I'm not going to go as low as C, but I will change it from an A minus. I'll give it a B. It was equal to Raw this week. It was equal to Raw this week. How's that?
Yes.
I'll go down. I'll go from an A to a B because you're right. I mean, even though there was nothing terribly egregious, there was also nothing that was spectacular. The main event was a little disappointing, and yeah, I mean, your favorite segment, Swerve, wasn't even there, and that I didn't even like that segment because I'm tired of Swerve and Hangman. So, as far as the feud goes, so yeah, I mean, you're probably right. After listening, I don't know, there was a C, but I'll make it equal to Raw. How's that? I gave Raw a B. I'll give this a B.
Fine. And then side note for Tony Khan. Stop putting people in the main event, and you know that ain't nobody know this girl. We know Yuka because we've seen in AEW, but Yuka's been out for a minute. So stop hyping stuff up. Stop putting people in the main event and not hyping them up at all. And no offense, you have work to do for Collision. So people are not watching Collision. So putting something on Collision is not hyping it up for a main event of Dynamite. So I go back to when it was Deonna Purrazzo versus Mercedes Martinez, and I felt so like you didn't hype up them girls at all, and they're in a main event, but just give us a main event of women. Like, stop doing that. You know what you're supposed to do to make people invested into a match. So stop doing that. Point blank. Period. But all right.
Agreed. But we still are in agreement to AEW got the highest, or NXT got the highest grade this week.
I guess. I could.
Well, because you gave, I mean, we both gave. I'm sorry. Didn't we both give Raw a B, or did you give Raw an A minus?
I gave Raw an A. Unlike you, I gave Raw an A, and I was tossing my mind up on who was going to win this week, Raw or NXT.
And
in my mind, Raw won. It was a go home show. It did the go home thing, and it had to. Even if we didn't get, and if we didn't get a promo battle between Cody and CM Punk, just like I said, I didn't know the peach happened. How that was over. Just the moment of Cody in the ring buckle and Sammy and KO kind of hovering. That was a good go home moment.
Well, this is why we need a third person. This is the downfall of having only two people, right? Because now
that's what we need you in the comments to say, because y'all can be the tiebreaker, but y'all don't say anything.
It's all your guys' fault. It's all the listeners' fault. No, we can call it a co-winner this week, NXT and Raw. Okay, we can call it. If you want to call it Raw, we'll call it Raw. If that makes Anika happy.
Yeah, don't patronize me. Don't do that.
I mean, I have a real hard time anytime you have Julia, Bailey, Roxanne opening the show, and you got Mercedes, or you got Bianca and Naomi closing the show. I have a real hard time picking against them. But that's just me personally. I mean, especially when I'm thinking of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes talking to end the show. Like, there was no match on Raw this week that equaled either the Julia tag team match or even, in my opinion, the Wesley trick match, which I thought wasn't. I mean, So
It ended a DQ. You biased wise man. Fine. NXT wins this week.
No. We can give it a tie.
No. Okay, fine. A tie. Kissing your cousin. Fine. A tie.
I will say the best thing about Raw. I do enjoy that Raw has been on Netflix. I like the new Raw Netflix era so far. I'm not sure that they've taken enough advantage of being off of cable yet. I haven't really seen them do anything too risque yet, which is fine. I mean, it is all intents and purposes, I do think wrestling is for the kids when it really boils down to it. So I understand why you don't want to go too extreme, but I've been enjoying Raw on Netflix. It's definitely been better than it was for me when it was in the end of its tail run on USA. So
it's definitely a different feel. Yeah.
All right, so we have a tie this week, much to Anika's dismay, between NXT and Raw. That brings us to the end of the show. We'll do a little house cleaning and then we will get out of here. On Tuesday nights, when life isn't lifing, we are here, all four of us come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. That's every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We are in the middle of our Lucha Underground watch along, so I think we'll be doing episode 3 this Tuesday coming up. So make sure and join us for that and every Tuesday ongoing. On Friday nights, it's Sammy, Joe, and Anika watching SmackDown starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Watching the show in real time, giving you the real-time opinions and reactions to the show. Saturday morning, it's usually myself, Sammy, Joe, and Anika reviewing Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, grading each show, and the winner with the highest grade is declared the winner for that week. This week, we had a tie. Anika's not happy about it, but we had a tie between NXT and Raw. And really, I think we had a tie mostly because we don't have Sammy here to break the ties. So,
he would have said
Saturday
NXT,
night.
whatever.
Saturday night is all right. Our AEW Collision watch along. I don't think we're going to be watching Collision tonight unless CM's going to join us at the end of Rumble to do Collision. But we are going to be here for the WWE Royal Rumble watch along. That starts at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure and join us back here in just a few hours as we watch the Royal Rumble live, giving you our opinions and views in real time of the show. Then on Sundays, although right now we are at a hiatus, but as a general rule, on Sundays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and in the Square Circle, myself and Sammy Joe playing some sort of video game. It's usually been WWE 2K, but we are going to be playing Madden at some point. If you scan this QR code, the QR code will take you to Linktree, and from Linktree you can get to all of our social medias. You can see them all on the screen. We are everywhere where there is social media. So check us out there, engage with us everywhere we are. If you're interested in listening to the Cookout podcast instead of having to watch it, you can listen to the audio version of the Cookout podcast on all of your favorite podcast location places. YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as you can see here on our screen here. I think that basically covers it. Like whatchamacallit said, like Laura says, we'll cut out the lights. And until this afternoon, just a few hours from now, we'll see you back. Let's see, I got to actually do this real quick.